County Board of Commissioners meeting. At this time, I'd like to call forward Reverend Keith Dye for an invocation. Reverend, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of North Area Ministerial Association, know that you are in our prayers, and it's my honor to stand before you this morning. Let us pray. Most holy and gracious God, we come before you this morning to ask your blessing on this commission and on the people of Dare County. We are blessed by their talents and service that provide a special quality of life in this place. We pray for the work before this board today, that they may be filled with insight and compassion as they hear reports, honor public service, make resolutions, and plan together for the sake of all who call this place home or home away from home. As we move through the spring breaks, the holidays, and the holy days into the busiest days and weeks, help us to care for each other, guide us, and protect us, that we may provide a safe environment for all. Watch over our nation and our entire world. Show us yet again that the resources of your creation and its people are gifts that reflect your love for us. We are so blessed. Help us to be a blessing. For these things and for whatever else you know that we need, we humbly ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. May we stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I'd like to recognize a few folks that are here with us today. Susan Bothwell, former BOE member, is here with us. Susan, thanks for being here. Our chair, current chair, David Twitty of the BOE is with us. And former vice chair of the BOC, Wally Overman's with us. Thank you all for being here today. I'd like to notify the board that we're scratching item 9 and 12. Item 9 and item 12. Turn it over to the county manager.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Item 1 on the agenda is the chairman's opening remarks.
Thank you, county manager. Just have a few items to go over this morning. As most of you are aware, I like to start with a little humor. I heard about this elderly couple. They were having really a terrible time with their memory. So they went to the doctor and he instructed them to start writing down everything they had been forgetting. That next night they were watching television and the wife said to her husband, she said, "I sure would like a bowl of ice cream." The husband said, "No problem, I'll get it for you." Well, the wife then said, "Honey, if you know what the doctor said, you better write it down." He said, "No, I'm just going to the kitchen. I'm not going to forget." He came back and a few minutes later handed her a plate of bacon and eggs. She shook her head and said, "I should have known it. You forgot my toast." Really exciting things happening on April the 14th. As most of you know, our high schools had individual projects that they were doing this past year. And First Flight High School built an airplane, as most of you know, and it was showcased this year at the celebration of flight. And it's exciting to announce that the Federal Aviation Administration inspectors have approved the mechanics and the test flights have been made, and it's time for a special invitation to be a part of the history so that you'll get an opportunity to watch from the tarmac and for First Flight High School RV-12 taking flight. This will happen at about 9 a.m. on April the 14th at the airstrip at First Flight. And I'm told that Superintendent Bass Knight will actually be on that flight. And they will fly from the coastline of Oregon Inlet and back. And then, so that's exciting. If you're interested, please show up at 9 o'clock at First Flight to see this happen. Unfortunately, our board has a budget workshop that morning, so unfortunately, we will not be able, at least I'm not going to skip the budget workshop, but we won't be able to attend, but hats off to First Flight High School. I'm also excited to share with you that the College of the Albemarle, which I serve as a trustee on, has named Dr. Gina Southall Dean of COA to replace Tim Sweeney. I was a part of that search committee, and we had 4 final candidates, and the president of COA has chosen Dr. Southall to be Tim Sweeney's replacement, and that will take place April 13th. Dr. Southall brings more than 20 years of experience in higher education, including academic administration, teaching, and program development. She has extensive experience in educator preparation and acceleration. As director of the education preparation at Elizabeth City State University, she led leisure programs, managed accreditation and assessment processes, and served as the liaison to the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. At Longwood University, she served as executive director of teacher preparation and director of elementary, middle, and liberal studies programs. Her academic background includes 15 years as a professor of English education at Longwood University. More recently, she has taught at the College of the Albemarle and has served as adjunct faculty in multiple instructions. At COA, she has contributed to institutional leadership as chair of the Academic Affairs Committee and vice president of the Faculty Senate. Dr. Southall is a resident of Dare County. She holds a doctor's of education in curriculum and instruction from the University of Virginia, as well as a master's and bachelor's degree in English education. So very excited to have Dr. Southall serve as dean of the First Flight Dare campus for COA. At this time, I'd like to share, as most of you are aware, I chair the form the Coastal Counties Fishing Coalition, and we just recently did a video that we will be sharing with our entire legislative body in Raleigh, and I'd like to show that video at this time. We're here today in Morehead City for our Coastal Counties Coalition that we formed. On the way home from Raleigh after the 442 bill banning the trawling in the Sound for shrimp, it really touched my heart to see the families of the fishermen right there in Raleigh fighting for their livelihood. So I said, you know, enough is enough. They're trying to shut down the oldest profession of mankind. And I said, when I get home, I'm going to reach out to the coastal counties and see if they're willing to be a part of a coalition. And I sent a letter out to 19 counties. Everybody said, yes, we want to participate in the Fishing Coalition. All we want to do is provide fresh local seafood to our residents and our visitors, and we want to protect the livelihood of those who do that and who provide that.
I was trained as a marine biologist. I worked with the state for 30 years, been involved with fisheries policy for about 4 decades now. Our commercial fishing industry is at the lowest state that it's been since the 50s. And so commercial fishermen numbers are declining, wholesale dealers declining, processors declining. And so as a seafood consumer, I was very concerned about that. And as a North Carolina citizen, I'm concerned about that because if I can catch my fish, I depend on commercial fishermen to provide a fish where I could buy it. I've been, again, working with state government for 40 years plus, and this is the first time county commissions have come together to address this issue.
My husband's a commercial fisherman, and I live in Hatteras Village, and I see the struggle every day at the docks, at the fish houses. I see the impact that our commercial fishermen have on our communities after storms. We're the first ones back on the water to bring food to the villages, especially on Hatteras Island when we get isolated. We've come together with a common goal and a common message that they don't have to worry about what is Beaufort County thinking or what is Hyde County thinking or whatever. We're all in this together, and we're fighting for the common good of our coastal communities and also for people to have the access to fresh local seafood and not imported. It's our livelihood. It's so much more than what it just seems on the surface.
In particular to the shrimp ban, everybody was against it because we're supposed to create jobs, not eliminate jobs. So, you know, to put a whole sector out of business, and when you eliminate the shrimpers going to the fish house, that is going to eliminate the fish house because that's another product that they can't handle. So they're not as strong. There's enough fish and there's enough shrimp for everybody. I wish the public would get that message. And I think they're beginning to get that message to consumer in Raleigh and Greensboro and places. They want fresh local products. They don't want a shrimp from Taiwan.
You know, in fairness to the rest of the state, they need to be educated on coastal county issues. And we're going to do our best to try to educate them and do that. Our county's already put out a video that we've shared to the coalition members, and we're spreading that video out. It's about a 20-minute video on commercial fishermen. We're working with the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners to get on their agenda to share our concerns about the coast. We got an environmental committee, we got a legislative committee.
They're elected leaders and they serve the people. You know, they can convey their concerns to other leaders.
It has definitely brought awareness in Raleigh that now they understand, or starting to understand, it's not just 1 or 2 counties that is concerned about this, it's the entire east coast of North Carolina.
But we're 20 counties strong. That's 20% of the state, 100 counties in the state. And when we show up, hopefully our voice in Raleigh is going to be heard at the next level.
What I'm hoping is that we'll have a voice that the marine fisheries can listen to and respect and follow our recommendations with respects to basing whatever the decision they make, they base it on input from the industry, from our coalition, and science.
It supplies food to our families, and any industry that can supply food to your family is worth fighting for.
For helping, for putting this together, and my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Balance and the Vice Chair House for being a part of this video. As I said in the video, we're going to share this with our 100 counties throughout the state. And like I said, in fairness to them, we need to educate them and let them know what we're facing here on the coast. So
that was a great video. Steve, Mary Ellen, Bob, thank you. I think that was excellent. Well done. Well done.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, we'll be sharing that with as many folks as we can, as well as the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. So I once again thank Benny for that, for making that happen. We're also we'll be working on another video with respects to 3 of our major concerns that we have in Dare County that we want to share with the state as well. And that's putting money in a beach nourishment fund for the state, that they established several years ago, but they never put any funds in it. Short and long-term plan for NC-12 and eliminating the moratorium on hardened structures. So after spring break, when Benny gets back in town, we'll be working on that video to produce that. So stay tuned for that. Last thing I have to share with you this morning is please keep our military men and women in your thoughts and prayers. We, this nation, our nation, faces tremendous issues with respects to certainly what's going on around the world, and pray for our legislators in D.C. Pray for our president. Pray for our governor. These are tough decisions that our federal government's having to make with respects to nuclear issues and just world peace altogether. And our men and women in uniform were right there in the middle of this. And nothing could be more important than protecting them. And if you just keep them in your thoughts and prayers, it'd be most appreciated. With that being said, County Manager, that completes my chairman's comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 2 on the agenda is the county service pins. Now is when we recognize our employees, and today we're going to recognize Clay Grant for 10 years of service, and he'll receive his 10-year pin from Matt Hester.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Manager. This is Clay Grant. For those of you who haven't met him directly, Clay is one of our GIS techs. Y'all are very familiar with the work that the GIS does on the county website for the parcel data. Clay is directly involved in that, but more so he's directly involved with the stuff that you don't see that the county does with GIS. He's instrumental in developing maps for EMS runtimes. He's done work for mosquito and water, basically building out just fantastic apps and databases for these departments to use on a daily basis. He's constantly updating and tweaking and making the corrections on these things to make sure that they're accurate and up to a date and 100%. Clay is kind of a quiet guy, not a big not a big speaker, but his work speaks volumes. It's just incredible. I don't think I've ever had a issue where I've come to him and said, hey, can we do this? And it doesn't get done. It's just a pleasure to work with him, and I congratulate him on his 10 years.
Next, we have our Employee of the Month, and if Jeremy Harvey would come forward and make that presentation.
Welcome, Jeremy.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Stormy, please join me up front. So, I don't know if you saw your boys sneak in the back, but we tried our hardest to make sure you didn't know. So my name is Jeremy. I'm the front office manager at the Dare County Health Department. I'm honored to be here to recognize Stormy Hero. She has been nominated by her peers for Employee of the Month, and this is very well deserved. Stormy has been at the Health Department since April of 2022. During that time, she has consistently demonstrated reliability, professionalism, and a strong commitment to serving our community. Prior to joining us, she worked at the detention center. So she has truly brought some valuable experience and a unique perspective that strengthened our team over there. She's truly become a welcoming and recognizable face of public health. Anyone who's been to the health department has seen Stormy. They know Stormy. Consistently, our community members come in and they, are greeted with Stormy's smile. So what makes this nomination especially meaningful is it comes from her coworkers and staff she interacts daily with from across the board. So being recognized by your peers speaks volumes. It reflects the respect you have earned, the teamwork you show up for every day, and the positive impact on those you have around you, right? Stormy is someone we can count on. She shows up, steps up, and supports both her team and the individuals we serve with care and dedication. So, Stormy, thank you for the work you do and the example you set. We appreciate you, and we're proud to recognize you today. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. This hers too, right? Or does this stay here? This go? Okay.
Before we go to public comment, those of you that just received an award, if you'll go right out through this door so that we can get a picture, please. Ladies and gentlemen, now's the time that's been set aside for public comment. If you have public comment this morning and you've not signed up, raise your hand and I'll recognize you. When I do, please come to the podium, state your name, where you're from. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. There's a green light on the podium when your time begins. There's a yellow light that will come on when you have about a minute left. And when the red light comes on, please conclude your remarks. On the sign-up sheet, first I have Pam Anderson.
Good
Welcome
morning.
this morning, Pam.
Hi, I'm with the Eastern North Carolina SPCA. We're a new SPCA in Kill Devil Hills. We are a resource and support organization for rescues like the SPCA in Manio, for other Currituck. We help people keep their animals in their homes once they've adopted. We are not an intake shelter. Part of our community service, we recognize that there was a deficit with our first responders having equipment to provide safe extraction for animals in emergency situations. So we came up with something called the Paw Emergency Safety Kit. I wanted to show it to the commissioners this morning. Through a grant from the Outer Banks Community Foundation, we have developed this Paw Emergency Safety Kit. This is going out. We have 90 kits that are being donated to all of Dare County first responders, police, fire, EMS. Since we came up with this kit and we advertised it, we've now had Dare County lifeguards come forward asking for kits. We're now going to provide those. And Marine Patrol has reached out to us, wanting kits for their boats when they come across animals that are in distress. The kit contains everything our first responders need. It comes with I'll step over here. Over the head harnesses, it's a 1-buckle harness. We have various sizes to help animals from itty bitty kitty cats all the way up to gigantors. We have 7 different size muzzles that can help from the itty bitty all the way up to gigantors. We also have collapsible water bowls that were donated by the Outer Banks Box Company. The wonderful people at Ocean Atlantic Rentals donated, as well as the Outer Banks Community Foundation. It also has 2 different size leashes, which are a clip leash and a slip leash for the animals. It also contains 4 different size collars, again, from itty bitty baby collars all the way up to gigantor. But the best thing in our kit, we also have dog and cat treats so that they can entice the animals if they need to. But when Chief Mike Talley saw this from Kitty Hawk, he said in 30 years as a firefighter, he never thought to provide this to his first responders. Something in the kit that we recommend for every household as well as first responders is something we call a quick contain bag. Anybody that has an animal, if you have a fire in your house, this is something simple you can buy at Amazon, Walmart. It's nothing but a laundry bag. It comes in various sizes. We recommend folks that if you have cats, dogs in your home, have a couple of these in your house. It has a drawstring. You can throw the animal in here, pull it tight, your animal is contained. If you have a second-story house, you can tie a sheet, you can drop them out, they hit the ground. They might break a leg, but they're alive. They don't go anywhere. Chief Talley from Kitty Hawk said that they actually encountered a situation where a dog ran under a bed, house is filled with smoke. It puts our first responders at risk the more time they spend. They tried to put the animal in a garbage can, tried to get it out of the house. The animal escaped, ran back into the house. If they'd had something like this, they could have put the animal in the bag and quickly extracted it. So as of May 1st, 90 of these bags are going out to Dare County first responders, with more to come as we raise more money. Sheriffs, fire, EMS, and police, and now lifeguards, and our Marine Patrol will now have safety equipment that will help them safely extract an animal that's traumatized in an emergency situation such as a fire or a car accident. The important thing is when an animal's in a car and you have an accident, the first responders now have nothing to contain that animal to keep them from running out into traffic and causing other accidents. So we appreciate the support that Dare County gives to our first responders, to our rescues, and we want to thank you all for your continued support, and these are going out. So anybody wants more information, just let me know. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Pam.
Next is Courtney Gallup.
Welcome this morning, Courtney.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you. Unfortunately, I'm here this morning because I have a very serious concern. Dare County has historically been an incubator of art, music, and culture for a very long time. Dare County currently supports a huge range of community art programs and resources. Since the cave drawings in Europe, the human body has been a subject of art, capturing the proportions, the forms, the shapes, the shadows, the contours of the human body has been considered art for centuries. I have recently taken the figure drawing class at the College of the Albemarle 4 times. I do have an art background and I've enjoyed that course. I have a piece of art that I created that I entered into the Silver Games Visual Arts Competition with Senior Games. Yesterday, I was informed that one Dare County employee from Parks and Recreation has decided that since my art is a nude, it cannot be shown in the Silver Arts Visual Arts Art Gallery because it's in a Dare County property, and nudity may be considered objectionable and people may complain. This art wasn't even seen at the time that that employee made the decision. Since that decision has made, some key people have seen the drawing. I do have the drawing here. If anyone would like to see it, I have it. It has been seen and it has been decided that the art is art. It is not suggestive, offensive, pornographic, illegal, or political. It is a legitimate, qualified to show in the show for Silver Games, and there's no reason that my art should be singled out and not permitted in the art show because an employee feels that a nude figure of a human being could be offensive. So I implore the commissioners to think on a higher plane, think intellectually and artistically, and remember that there is no current policy on the art that hangs in Dare County temporarily or permanently. There is no policy that I'm aware of that has ever caused any piece of art to be excluded from the Silver Games competition. But my piece has been excluded arbitrarily, I believe. There's no policies that the employee informed me of that warranted this piece of art being excluded from the show. It can still be judged, but it cannot be hung and shown with the other art pieces, which I believe on its face will impact how my art is judged. It's already been stigmatized, and I want my art to be judged fairly in the competition. And I feel that if it's excluded from the gallery process, it will not be evaluated fairly, and therefore I'm at a disadvantage in the competition. I would like to, again, offer, can the art be shown? Do you all care to see the drawing?
Really? Courtney, that's beautiful.
It's well done.
You did a good job.
You all are educated. You are, I assume you have been to a museum. Probably the textbooks in the schools probably have a nude or two or show some kind of body part in the art curriculum. Dare County Arts, the Dare County COA had an art show recently. There was a whole wall of nudes, and the show was free and open to the public. So I don't want to be silenced and edited and censored unfairly because of the content of a piece of art when there's no policy in place and one employee makes an arbitrary decision to exclude me from the show. So I also sent you all an email. I expect that to be read for input before you make your decision this afternoon. Please be fair, please be intellectual, please honor the art community that is strong and vibrant in this community, and please permit this drawing to be shown in the art show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Courtney.
Next is Janet Haspert.
Good morning.
Welcome this morning, Janet.
Thank you. I'm Janet Haspert, and I'm representing the League of Women Voters for Dare County. Complimentary copies of our annual citizen guide. I don't know if you all have seen them yet, but we put them out every year. I've brought some copies for all of you, which I will leave. It's published by the League since 1988, so that's been a long time, and distributed annually to government and business offices throughout Dare County. It contains contact information for local, state, and national government agencies, voting information, emergency numbers, and a great deal more. I know that when I first moved to Dare County about 18 years ago, and I got my first copy from the town of Manteo, I just thought, what a tremendous source of information to have on hand. Our guide is published under the auspices of the League of Women Voters of Dare County Education Foundation. On the back cover, you'll find acknowledgments of all the municipalities and local businesses that donated generously toward publication expenses. And this is a huge, mammoth task. And it's a thankless job, actually, but it's so worth it. Thank you, and thanks to all staff members who helped update information for this year's version. Lately, the League of Women Voters has distributed about 6,400 copies of the guide from Duck all the way to Hatteras Village, Roanoke Island, and mainland Dare. You'll find them in libraries, post offices, Baum, Fessenden, and Tillett centers, as well as town and county offices. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in government and influences public policy through education and advocacy. Publishing this guide is part of our continued commitment to provide pertinent information to all voters and residents. Membership in the League of Women Voters is, the League is open to anyone of voting age, male or female. And we thank you for your support, and we hope that you'll find this guide useful. Thank you for giving me the time to speak today, and I will leave these on the table.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak at public comment this morning? Is there anyone in Buxton that'd like to speak at public comment?
No comment from Buxton.
Mr. Chairman, we close the public comment and move to item 5 on the agenda. This is a proclamation for Week of the Young Child, and Carla Heppard is here to make that presentation.
Welcome this morning, Carla.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here to talk with you guys about the Week of the Young Child. My name is Carla Heppert, and I'm the Education and Program Evaluation Manager for Children and Youth Partnership for Dare County. For as long as I can remember, the Dare County Board of Commissioners has had how will these decisions affect our children and families at the top of your agenda. That guiding question shows your strong commitment to children and families and putting them at the forefront of what you do every day. This mirrors the goals of Children and Youth Partnership, with our mission being to connect all children, adolescents, and families with programs and partnerships to ensure they have what they need to thrive. We know that the first 5 years of a child's life are when their brains are developing the most rapidly. So 90% of a child's brain development occurs before the age of 5. So during that time, the foundation for all of their learning is being laid, making the support, care, and experiences that children receive in those early years critically important. The Week of the Young Child, which is being recognized on April 11th through the 17th this year, is a time to celebrate not only young children, but early learning and the dedicated adults that care for them. We recognize the valuable role of play, of creativity, and collaboration in a child's development, but also use it as a time to remember high-quality early childhood education and the educators that guide that play and nurture that growth. So you can see on your screens, as a way of celebrating, we're leading a Spirit Week that celebrates each of the days represented for the Week of the Young Child. So you'll see there's Music Monday, Twin and Tasty Tuesday, Work Together Wednesday, Artsy Thursday, and Family Friday. We've shared this information out to all of our local childcare programs, and we encourage everyone in the community, not just those with children in childcare or in childcare, to celebrate the Week of the Young Child with us by participating. We also wanted to take a moment to give you a personal invitation. We have our Kids Fest event coming up on Friday, May 8th from 9:30 to 12:30 at Roanoke Island Festival Park. This is our 17th annual Children's Festival, and we invite you all to attend. Kids Fest is such a wonderful morning of collaboration here in Dare County. We have so many local organizations and businesses that all come together in support of young children, and we invite you to come out and experience it firsthand. So I thank you for your time this morning, and at this time I ask you to proclaim the week of the 11th through the 17th of April as the Week of the Young Child in Dare County.
All right, we have a proclamation. County Manager, would you read that proclamation?
Sure. Whereas Children and Youth Partnership for Dare County, in conjunction with the National Association for the Education of Young Children and the North Carolina Association for the Education of Young Children, is celebrating the Week of the Young Child, April 11th through 17th, 2026. And whereas the first years of a child's life are the period of most rapid brain development and lay the foundation for all future learning. And whereas high quality early care and education helps build strong development foundations for young children during the years of greatest brain development, leading to positive outcomes for individual children. And whereas recognizing, appreciating, and supporting early childhood educators who make a difference in the lives of the young children leads to high-quality early childhood experiences for Dare County's youngest citizens. And whereas connecting parents and families with resources and information enhances the healthy development of Dare County's young children. And whereas public policies and partnerships that support early learning for all young children are crucial to young children's futures and to the prosperity of our local community and larger society. We, the Dare County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 11th through 17th, 2026 as Week of the Young Child in Dare County, and encourage all our citizens to recognize the needs and support the healthy development of every young child in Dare County.
Motion to adopt the proclamation.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair to adopt the proclamation. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you for your time.
That leads us to item 6 on the agenda, and this is a proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month, and Karen Swain is here to make that presentation.
That surprises you. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Hello, my name is Karen Saul, and I am the Family Support Services Coordinator with Children and Youth Partnership, and I'm here with Lee Brinkley with Dare County Department of Health and Human Services. So I'm here today to discuss the crucial topic of child abuse prevention. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and Children and Youth Partnership for Dare County, alongside of Dare County Department and Health and Human Services, is actively working to increase awareness and empower all community members to play a role in prevention. This year's theme across North Carolina is Positive Childhood Starts With Us. This theme reminds us that we all have a role to play in supporting strong families and thriving communities, and that support and empowerment are the keys to making that vision a reality. Throughout April, we have set up 3 Child Abuse Prevention Month displays across Dare County, one at the Kildable Hills Fire Department, one at COA Dare Campus in Manio, and one at the Pheasant Center in Buxton. These displays serve as a visual reminder of the critical needs of awareness and action. We are also inviting our community to share in supporting strong families and thriving communities by participating in Wear Blue Day this Friday, April 10th. We encourage everyone in Dare County community to wear blue on this date and share photos on social media to show our collective commitment to the cause. In addition, local businesses and community members can take part in the Pinwheels for Prevention campaign by planting pinwheel garden or by displaying the Pinwheels for Prevention yard sign. These yard signs are available at CYP office while supplies last, and each pinwheel represents the bright future we are all working together to create for our children. Research from Prevent Child Abuse North Carolina shows that several protective factors can prevent child abuse and neglect, including parental resilience, children's social and emotional competence, parents' knowledge of child development, concrete support for parents, and strong social connections. These factors can build the foundations for safer, healthier families and communities. I strongly encourage parents to explore the resources available through Children and Youth Partnership and to sign up for one of our free parenting programs or workshops that we offer. These programs are designed to support families and strengthen parenting skills. Another valuable resource is the Family Services Unit at Dare County Department of Social Services. This program provides support to families with at least one child under 18 and focuses on enhancing family stability, improving relationships, and building strong support systems. It is important to remember if anyone suspects child abuse, neglect, or dependency, they should contact social services and request to speak with a Child Protective Service social worker. For more information about Child Abuse Prevention Month and how you can get involved in prevention efforts, please visit preventchildabusenc.org. And finally, we ask the commissioners to proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. The well-being of Dare County's children shapes the path ahead for our entire community. Protecting them today is key to creating a world filled with care, respect, and hope for tomorrow. Thank you.
Proclamation.
Thank you.
Sorry.
County Manager?
Thanks.
Yes, sir. This is a Child Abuse Prevention Month, April 2026 proclamation. Whereas children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most vulnerable assets. And whereas all children deserve safe, stable, and nurturing homes and communities that foster their healthy growth and development. And whereas child abuse and neglect are community responsibilities affecting both the current and future quality of life of our communities. And whereas communities that provide parents with social support, knowledge of parenting and child development, and the resources they need to cope with stress and nurture their children help ensure that all children grow to their full potential. And whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships among citizens, human services agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Commissioners of Dare County, do hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month and call upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the community in which we live. This is the 7th day of April, 2026.
Thank you, County Managers. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance. It's been seconded by Commissioner Bateman. Any further discussion?
I have something to say.
Yes, sir.
There are a few things that I take very seriously, Karen, and this is one of them. And I read the words, I listened to the words in the proclamation, And also, Carla, your comments. I wish you the most success possible. This is terrible stuff when it happens, and it does. But I thank you all for the work you do in trying to stop it, correct it, educate, remediate, improve. So well done, ladies. Keep up the good work.
Anyone else? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you again, ladies.
That brings us to item 7 on the agenda. This is a proclamation declaring April 10th, 2026 as Local News Day in Dare County, and Corinne Saunders is here to make that presentation.
Welcome, Corinne.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Corinne Saunders. As most of you know, I run Outer Banks Insider along with my husband. This is not just a me effort, though. This is more of a statewide effort to have Local News Day. It's the first one ever. And I just wanted to extend an invitation to all of you to come in person. We're having an event this Friday from 9 to 11 a.m. at Wave Riders in Nags Head. We're just having coffee and conversation with the community, and you get to meet all of the people who are writing your local news. We have about 8 different organizations from Currituck to Ocracoke who will be represented at the event. So you get to come and just have casual conversation with all of us. So the effort kind of started with Montana Free Press. They declared the first ever local news day this year. They spearheaded the initiative, and then North Carolina really took it up. NC Local has been leading the charge in North Carolina, and they're hosting NC News cafes across the state. So in places where they don't have a staff presence, they asked local newsrooms to kind of take the lead. And so I'm hosting this local one, Outer Banks Insider is. And yeah, all the details you can find at outerbanksnews.org for this event. But I just wanted to invite you.
Well, thank you,
Thanks,
Corinne.
Corinne. Yeah.
We have
Nice.
a proclamation.
Sure. And this is a proclamation declaring April 10th, 2026 as Local News Day in Dare County. Whereas Americans overwhelmingly say local news and information is the most important and most trusted source of news. And whereas local journalism is a foundational element of a functioning and healthy democracy. And whereas local journalism equips communities for civic engagement and action. And whereas communities across the state are joining together to recognize and celebrate the importance of local news during the second week of April. And whereas the Dare County community relies on trusted local news for reliable, vetted information, both in daily living and in moments of crisis. And whereas Dare County is home to several news outlets. And whereas Dare County recognizes the critical importance of local news in many forms, now therefore I, Robert L. Woodard Sr., Chairman of the Dare County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 10th, 2026 as Local News Day in Dare County and commend its observance to all residents this the 7th day of April 2026.
All right. Thank you for that proclamation. I'll make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Kreef. Any further discussion?
If we come on, is that going to be, if we come on Friday, will that be off the record?
Oh, yeah, it's just casual conversation.
Yeah, Mary Ellen will write it down. I know she will.
I mean,
All right. Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Corinne.
thank you.
Chairman, item 8 on the agenda is an update on the Dare County Library, and our librarian, Megan Beasley, is here for that presentation.
Welcome this morning, ladies.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Got to make sure this is angled so you can hear me because I now have a little tiny voice. Thank you for having me here today. I feel like I'm on a good day. There's a lot of fun things happening. For those who have not met me in person or formally, my name is Megan Leonards Beasley, and I am your Dare County librarian. National Libraries Week is April 9th through the 25th, and so I thought it would be a good time to come by and see everyone. For those who are not aware, I am employed actually by the East Albemarle Regional Library System as the head of Dare County's Library Department, and I am the administrator and operations manager of the 3 branches of our regional library located here in Dare. I am here today to speak with you about the future Dare County Public Library System. In 1964, the commissioners, county managers, and library administrators of Dare, Currituck, Pascatank, and Camden allowed for the creation of a regional library system headquartered in Elizabeth City. The East Albemarle Regional Library System, or EARL, is the governing and administrative head of operations of the 8 library branches located in our 4 counties of Northeast North Carolina. On June 30th, 2026, EARL will dissolve, and on July 1st will be replaced with 4 independent North Carolina county public library systems. So we're going to talk about that today. Thank you, Kelly. This Thursday, our Library Board of Trustees will meet to approve the current and new policies which will apply to Dare County Library. Present today from our Board of Trustees is, of course, Commissioner Bateman, and as well we have Lisa Matthews is here with us today. Thank you. And I thank all of our participants and members of our Dare County Board of Trustees. They do a great job and provide a lot of support. One policy we will review is our collection development policy, which includes our new mission statement. Sorry, there's a clicker. Sorry. Which will include our new mission statement. The Dare County Library is a strong community partner that provides resources, services, and programs to foster inclusivity, creativity, curiosity, and lifelong learning to the citizens and guests of Dare County. There's a lot to unpack there, but the one word I want to emphasize today is community. We strive to bring our community members in touch with local groups who provide resources and assistance. We are a space for people to come together and find community, and we are a clearinghouse of community information addressing patrons' needs. 23 county residents representing almost all municipalities and unincorporated areas of Dare make up our library team. 13 full-time and 10 part-time employees provide top-notch customer service, excel at individualized attention, are competent and conscientious, and most of all, dedicated to finding the answers to our patrons' needs. With me today is Kelly Crum, our accounting technician, who I refer to as the backbone of the library. Also with us today is Julie Stewart, our adult services librarian, and Tricia Allen, our branch manager for the Kill Devil Hills Library. I'll embarrass her and remind everyone that she was the June 2025 Dare County Employee of the Month. Yay! You can see in the photo, we are a big group, a happy group, and it is an honor to be able to work with all of these individuals. And I hope that you all come by and meet them sometime, if you have not already. In March of this year, I asked our Facebook community to give us their one word to describe our library locations. And from their responses, I created this word cloud. Every team member who works at our library says they are there because they want to help people. So it's very heartening to see that the public views us most often as helpful. They also view us as welcoming, friendly. They're grateful for the services that we provide. We are knowledgeable. And again, you see that word community popping up. And I want to thank everyone who participated in that. Thank you to our public. Now, outside of the libraries, we're always asked by the public, does anyone even use a library anymore? I mean, people don't read, right? So I'm going to start with our collections. Yes, we have books and audiobooks and magazines in print and digital format, as well as DVDs. But we also have other collections in the libraries. Most notable, our recent addition of the Library of Things. These are items that the public might need or want, but either don't have the space or it's a commitment of time. They don't want to buy the item. So we've added these items for checkout, starting with memory kits, litter pickup kits, still our most popular item, paper shredders, external CD-ROM drives, portable DVD players, digital paper scanners, metal detectors, and analog to digital converters. These are all items that go out quite often, and we continue to add to the collection. Recently, thanks to a patron donation and a request, we have added a ghost hunting kit in our KDH library collection, and we will be adding another in Hatteras. It's quite popular, as you can imagine. We also offer book club in a bag kits. So far, we have 60 sets of 12 books that patrons can check out for their book clubs. They come with discussion guides and an online website where they can access additional resources, and it helps save money for all of those book clubs that we have here in the county. 4 years ago, we created a seed library. Last year, over 9,000 packets went out to the public of seeds, herbs, vegetables, annuals, perennials, and locally harvested native plants. One program in particular I'm proud of is our participation in the International Library Telescope Program. We have 4 tabletop telescopes available for checkout by the public, and we partner with the OBX Astronomy Club to provide education on reading the night sky and lessons in astronomy. We are one of 2 North Carolina counties who participate in this program.
Wait, OBX Astronomy Club. I have a telescope and I don't really know how to use it. They're open to, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yes. Julie, do you want to?
Again? Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Cameron is wonderful. He helps at all of our night sky parties, and we offer education. So come on out. Actually, we have a star party at Jockey's Ridge on April 24th. We're going to have our telescopes there, and come on out. It'll be fun. 5:30 to 10.
Writing it down.
Yes, write it down. Obviously, one of the most important things that we do are programs for children. We want to help children and caregivers develop and build a lifelong love of reading by teaching early literacy skills through a multitude of programs for children starting at age 0. The more we read print materials, the deeper the neural pathways we build. Scientists have proven that these pathways help us develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Starting a child on a path to a lifelong love of reading not only teaches them these literacy skills, but it helps set them up for success in life. As you can see, we offer all of the traditional library programs for children, story times, hooked on books, book clubs. Last year, we added 1,000 books before kindergarten program. Our summer reading program will launch in just a couple short months. We've added STEAM tablets with STEAM software for in-house use in our libraries called Launchpads. And we're adding games into the libraries for families to come in and play those games. Programs for adults. That's Julie Stewart over here. Programs for adults are created and designed to address the unique needs of our community members. We provide education, boost creativity, support growth, and build opportunities to find and create community with like-minded individuals. In the last couple of years, we've added summer and winter reading challenges. We now have fiber arts groups going monthly in all 3 locations, as well as book clubs in all locations. We've added writing clubs. And additionally, we now offer 4 online author talks each month for individuals to either watch online, they can come into the libraries and watch them as well. And we've added special topics programs on true crime and meditation and mindfulness, as well as life skills.
Sounds like you need to add astronomy.
Oh, yeah. Well, we do. Well, the hardest part, I'll tell you, the hardest part about those clubs, I'll tell you the hardest part about those clubs is scheduling them when the sky is not going to be cloudy. Thank you, Outer Banks, for that. Yeah, there's still a good time, though, even if you don't see the sky. In addition to collections and programming, we address community needs by providing services that may be unavailable or inaccessible to our patrons otherwise. Printing, copying, faxing, these are things that people don't do at home anymore. They don't want to pay for printer ink, they don't fax anymore, so we are kind of the Kinkos of the Outer Banks these days. You hear them laugh, but it's true. In particular, we find ourselves wading deep into the needs and demands of the digital literacy pillar of librarianship. We offer technology assistance in one-on-one appointments during drop-in hours on all sorts of technology, your phone, tablet, computer, laptop, any sort of device. We will troubleshoot and work with you to fix what the problem is. And then in that kind of broader that area of digital literacy, we assist and provide education in computer skills, online navigation, email communications, safety and privacy to help prevent against scams. Emerging technologies, of course, AI is all the rage right now. We want to get ahead of it, and we want to be able to educate our patrons on the good and the bad, as well as navigating e-government resources. Everything's online. And if you didn't grow up filling out job applications and forms online, it's incredibly challenging. And we find that we encounter that every day and help folks overcome. Additionally, we still offer our home delivery services and traditional good old library reference, genealogy, and reader's advisory. Oops, where am I? Now, community partners. I said I love community. On the left-hand side of this slide, you are going to see just a small listing of the community groups and nonprofits with whom we have partnered, collaborated, or supported over the past year. On the right are a few outreach events in which we participated. Now, obviously, the groups ahead of me are speaking for themselves, but there are so many amazing groups in Dare County dedicated to supporting and lifting up our locals that I have made outreach to and with these groups one of our major library objectives year in and year out. Now, of course, I have to touch on our Dare County Library Foundation. Founded in 2002, the Dare County Library Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit which provides programs and services. Nope, they provide funding for programs and services not covered by our operating budget. And with us today is our chair, Susan Sawen, and our treasurer, Jane Young. We have gone from having about 3 members of our foundation 2 years ago to, I believe, 14 active foundation board members who are helping us to relaunch the foundation with new marketing, new programs, new initiatives. This year, they are helping to support or have fully funded our 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program, our annual children's bookmark contest, which is going on now, our summer reading program for children. They are adding to our collections, particularly our Library of Things, and they pay approximately 51% of our online author talk series. So we are incredibly grateful for their support. Thank you. Okay, how about some numbers? Because why not? We're librarians, we love numbers. So before you see a chart of adult fiction items owned by branch location in Earl, 2024 is the most recent official numbers. So you can see. Collectively, Dare County owns approximately just under 26,000 adult titles in fiction. Pasquotank 19, Currituck 17, Camden just under 5,000. Checked out by county, our Dare County cardholders checked out over 90,000 adult titles in 2024, followed by Pasquotank at 27, Currituck 26, Camden 7. Now, children's, I'll show you this number, children's fiction owned by county, Dare County just under 18,000, Currituck 17, Camden 11, Pasquotank 7. Children's fiction checked out, 80,000 in Dare County checkouts. Currituck 44, Camden 31, Pasquotank 29. Woo, we got readers. Finally, I'll share these visitor count numbers with you. In 2024, we estimate 94,000 library visits in Dare County. Raw numbers that aren't published quite yet. In 2025, over 102,000 visits to library branches in Dare County. And there's an asterisk, a little caveat with this. We only have door counters on 1 door in each of our libraries, but we actually have 2 to 5 doors on each library. So we're missing some folks. So you can guess that this number is a little low overall, which is just fine. It's a good number to see. To answer your question, does anybody use a library anymore? They certainly do in Dare County. I've been immersed in the book, literacy, writing, and library communities of this county for 23 years. And I can say unequivocally that Dare County is a county of readers who use and value their public library system. Moving into our new phase, we adopted a new slogan, a lighthouse for learning, a bridge for all. This slogan is intended to bring to mind a vision of a library as a community beacon where we bridge gaps and divides in knowledge and resources. Now, what's happening in the next couple of months? Some things. As I mentioned, our Board of Trustees meets this week to adopt our policies for future Dare County Library. Next week, our library leadership meets for the first of 10 weeks to schedule and plan the movement of all of that information in our library system from one computer system to another. In May, all libraries will close for 1 day so that staff in all of Earl can get together and have a training session in person. This is a Wednesday, hopefully the least inconvenient day of the week. June is when we do our big turnover. We will shut down at the end of the day on June 19th, Friday, June 19th, and that will be the last day of our current system catalog that you see. We'll close for the 20th of June. Doors will reopen June 22nd, Monday, and we'll be in our new system called NC Cardinal. That day as well, I know my e-readers are gonna love this, Libby rolls over to the Dare County Library. So if you're a Libby user, you would know that when you log in under Earl. On June 22nd, you go to log in, you log under Dare County. Easy peas. On the 25th, we are back fully operational. However, we will not be sharing our books between our 4 counties for 2 weeks. That's okay, because we have 50,000 items in Dare County Library, and I'm sure you haven't read them all. So we'll be able to find people some books until we can get those books sharing again. Then on June 30th, Earl dissolves, and July 1st, Dare County Public Library is a recognized entity at the state and federal levels. We also begin receiving state aid for public library payments from state government. Now, this last item is incorrect. I turned in these slides, and since then, we had a change. So disregard. We will resume limited courier services between our 4 Earl counties the 2nd week of July. That doesn't mean that we can put a book on hold in Pasquotank and have it brought down, but we will be able to return books between the 4 counties. And details will come in future emails. If you're an email reader, I'll share that information. We can commence statewide resource sharing, which I'll get into in a moment, 2 to 4 weeks after June 22nd. So knowing my team, we will probably be back up and running to sharing with the entire state probably by mid-July. Yeah. And then it'll be as if nothing has changed, except you will have more access. So what stays the same? Courier service between our Earl member libraries. All of your digital resources will remain the same. Physical collections, buildings, and the knowledge and experience of 22 library employees. What changes? Our board of trustees will become an advisory board. The trustee budget that they oversee will be integrated into the county operating budget, which I think might be covered at the workshop. Inscrutable. And the courier days and frequency may change a little, but they will still be there. What the county gains, a grant from the state, annually estimated this year to be $105,000. You also get a library director. You don't have a library director right now. You have a Dare County librarian. So you will have a library director who carries a Master of Library Science and is a certified public librarian. We'll also be able to apply for a broad range of grant opportunities, which we have not been previously able to do. I'm excited about that. We'll also have direct access to resources provided by the Library of North Carolina and the North Carolina Library Directors Association. Fun stuff, new cards. I think you've all seen, but maybe the public hasn't. We have designed new Dare County Library cards, which will be available July 1st. And the front of the card comes from a Hatteras, an old Hatteras library book with the traditional punch card on there with our new logo. And on the back, it has a pre-printed barcode and the NC Cardinal logo, which will be the statewide system of which we will be a part. Of note, nobody needs a new card because all of the card numbers will roll over. That's one of the great things about this transition. You can just keep going with the one you have. If you decide to get a new card, there will be additional steps to transition. So choose wisely. And your card can be used at any Cardinal library in the state, including our current Earl libraries. So it'll be just like it was before, only better. NC Cardinal, this is the program that we've been talking about. This is run out of the State Library in Raleigh. All of the counties in green, the few in blue, and then the orange dots are all participating member libraries in Cardinal. That means, as I've said, which I continue to say, we're going to go from 140,000 items to 8.1 million at no additional cost, no charges or fees for our patrons to access those. And let me think. One of the great things, I'm excited that Hyde County is a part of this, so we're going to be able to serve our Ocracoke friends and neighbors. They can come up to Hatteras, we can go down there. We'll be one library that way. And what Cardinal does is if you go on vacation in any of one of these counties and you decide you want to check out a library book, you can check it out there and then you can bring it back and we can send it back for you. Or visitors can come here and check out books and take them back with them and they'll send them back to us. So it becomes a part of a great big state library, really. And it's pretty exciting, we think. Well, we think. We hope everyone else does as well. That's it. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, please reach out to me. This is my information. It's also on the website, darenc.gov/libraries. That's it.
Thank you very much, Megan.
Thank you, everyone. And don't forget to come out for National Libraries Day week and fill out a, what are we doing right now? Bookmark contest. Come on, fill out your bookmark contest, turn it in, we'll judge it fairly. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Chairman, items 10 and 11 are special use permits, and our planning director, Noah Gillum, is here for both of those items. And Mr. Chairman, for the record, all the participants in both of these SUPs have already been sworn in.
Oh, okay.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. The first special use permit application we had before you was for Rodanthe Sunset Resort. This is a renewal of an existing special use permit. Back in January of 2021, y'all approved this special use permit that authorized the construction of a 6-unit multifamily structure, an 8-unit multifamily structure, and 2 single-family residential dwellings. Since that time, the 6-unit structure has been built and the 2 single-family dwelling structures have been completed. The remaining 8 dwelling unit structure has not been completed and permits have not been pulled to the state. The special use permit had a 5-year time frame for them to apply for all of their building permits, and that has since expired, which is what brings this before you today. Part of this also is a modification to the special use permit, which is a reduction in the size of the last remaining structure. The proposed 8-unit multifamily structure is going to go from 8 units down to 4 units, and a significant reduction in the square footage of that building. All prior conditions of the former approved special use permit will remain in effect. New conditions have been added at the request of the fire marshal to address changes in the fire code and needed additions to the site, such as the location of a fire hydrant and the requirement to bring all the road surfacing to the standard improvements prior to them constructing the final structure. The applicant and a representative from the engineering firm are here to answer any questions.
If the applicant could come forward, I've got a couple of questions for the applicant.
Mr. Harris.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First question is, do you consent to the evidence as just presented by Noah?
Yes.
And do you also consent to the entry of the contents of the planning staff's file into evidence in this matter?
Yes.
And do you consent to the terms and conditions of the proposed SUP?
Yes.
That's all that I have. Anyone else here to present any evidence this morning? Seeing no one, Mr. Chairman, it's with you all.
All right.
Questions or?
Is there any questions of the board? If not, what's the pleasure of the board? There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Bateman to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussions? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Thanks for all you do for the quality of life for the residents of Dare County. I appreciate all the work that you do every day.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
The second special use permit application before you is a new application being submitted by the Cape Hatteras Electric Membership Corporation. They're proposing to build some employee housing across from their facility on Light Plant Road in Buxton. They're proposing this as a group development consisting of 2 residential dwelling structures. One will be a duplex and one will be a single family structure. The location is, like I said, is across the street from their existing facility, their office. The purpose of this is to try to bring employees to Cape Hatteras Electric by being able to provide some housing in the area for their employees.
So in other words, there's a housing shortage that's causing them difficulty to hire people to run the electric power plant. Have I got that right?
Yes, sir.
Everybody out there at the towns listening, thank you. Keep going, Noah.
The site plan as proposed shows the structures meeting all the dimensional standards of both the R2A zoning district and the group development ordinance. The parcel is located in the SED1 zone of influence. Their proposed site plan has a vegetation removal plan that meets the requirements of the zone of influence. They're proposing a centralized dumpster location that has been approved by Dare County Public Works. The site plan has been reviewed by the Dare County Fire Marshal and conditions have been added to the special use permit, reflecting his comments and concerns. The Dare County Planning Board reviewed the special use permit at their March 4th meeting. At the close of discussion, they found the special use permit and the conditions to be reasonable and appropriate for the proposed development. Mr. Joseph Anloff, the project engineer, is here and also a representative from the power company to answer any questions.
I have the same questions for the applicant. Morning.
Morning.
Do you consent to the entry of the contents of the planning staff's file into evidence in this matter?
I do, yes.
And do you consent to the facts as presented by Mr. Gillum?
Yes, sir.
And do you consent to the terms and the conditions of the proposed SUP?
Yes, sir.
Any other evidence to be presented in this matter? Seeing none, Mr. Chairman, it's with you all for questions or to take action.
So tell me again, it's going to be half of it's a single family, the other half is what, two?
One single family residence and 1 duplex.
I got you.
The duplex has 2 residents in it.
Pardon?
The duplex has two
Yeah, I
residents.
know. Yeah. It's a start.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Creef.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Balance. Floor is open for further discussion. Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen.
Just on behalf of CHEC, I do sincerely appreciate you all for approving this special use permit that we can build residential housing across from our facility at Light Plant Road. This project, as stated, will allow us to recruit and retain the very best employees so that we can continue to provide our members on Hatteras Island with safe and reliable electric service. And we all understand, again, that's already stated, the housing challenges that affect employee retention in Dare County. And while this project will just help solve maybe a small portion of that for our company, we do see the bigger picture. And I am honored to serve on the Dare County Housing Foundation Board and help continue to find solutions that help our residents and employees in the county. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, that brings us to item 13 on the agenda, and this is a resolution in support of the Mid-Currituck County Bridge. This came to us from some of our neighbors to ask you all for support. I know that the chairman has been involved in some meetings and Commissioner Ballots has been involved in some meetings. And so before I read the resolution, I'll hand it over to you all if you have comments to make.
Yeah, well, Mary Ellen's our representative on the RPO. You want me to go over it, Mary Ellen, or you want to go over it? We attended recently a meeting that the RPO hosted and had the NCDOT come in. And in a short explanation, the Mid-Currituck Bridge is short 900 plus million in funding. And they wanted to take it out of the system and it would save the district. The monies, it's broken down into state. Second is region, and then the third is district. And there's about $173 million in the district that could be put back in the district for projects. There's 14 counties, I guess, in our district. So if you split that 173 by the 14, it would give 9 million and some change to each county, which wouldn't generate much, at least for their for a project. But that's what they'd like to do. It doesn't mean that they couldn't reapply for the Mid-Currituck, but there's a meeting on the was it 16th that the RPO has to decide if in fact that's what they want to do, or if they want to continue to keep the Mid-Currituck in the plan. They've proposed tolling it, which their numbers would not certainly bring up enough funding to fund the Mid-Currituck. So Currituck County has asked and would like to at least extend it for a year or two to see if they can find other ways for additional funding to make that happen so that the Mid-Currituck Bridge can take effect. We have, and out of respect for them, I have asked staff to draw up a resolution in support of Currituck County, and it's before you today to look at. This has been ongoing for a number of years. I personally feel like we need to do what we can to support our neighbors, but that's certainly a decision this board would have to make. So we've established a resolution to do so, and we need to have our representative, Commissioner Balance, take that voice to the RPO meeting on the 16th. I'm happy to try to answer any other additional questions the board may have. If I've left something out, Commissioner Balance, feel free to speak up.
I would just say this, for those of you that don't know what the STIP means, it's the State Transportation Improvement Program, and we call it the STIP, and it's how our projects are rated and decides whether we get it or not. And being in rural North Carolina, we face these challenges on Hatteras Island and all over because our numbers we don't always fit in that STIP, and that's kind of where this bridge is. And so it's a time that we have to start thinking outside the box. And if they need a couple more years to do that, I'm sure there's going to be some situations where we're in that same boat. This bridge would be a huge relief for Dare County in the going to Duck and up in that area, because anybody that's tried to travel on a Saturday in the summer through Southern Shores it's not an easy thing, and it's become quite dangerous. So I agree with Bob that this is something I feel like we need to support them on this. But as he said, it's the pleasure of the board, and I'll take it to the RPO however you guys see fit.
I've always been in favor of the Mid-Currituck Bridge for several different reasons. But for the main reason, in being in emergency services for so many years, hurricane evacuation from the northern beaches area is, even back a few years ago, was very daunting. And if you've noticed the traffic going from the Wright Memorial Bridge up to Corolla on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you know at times it can take you 2 to 3 hours from that Wright Brothers Bridge to get to Corolla. And now if you compound with all of those 3 days of traffic into 1 day of traffic for a hurricane evacuation, you can see where the problem lies. So for safety reasons, and also not only for hurricane evacuations, but when there's a major fire, something up in Corolla, then all the Dare County fire departments go up there, and very few of the Currituck fire departments go there because they can't get there without coming all the way around. Now Currituck can actually take care of their own emergencies up there with this bridge. So there's several different reasons why this bridge really needs to go into effect. And if we need a little bit more extra time to find out how to fund it, I'm all for it.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Anyone else? County Manager, will you take the liberties of reading the resolution, if you would, please?
Sure. This is a resolution supporting the continued inclusion of the Mid-Currituck Bridge project in the NCDOT State Transportation Improvement Program. Whereas the Mid-Currituck Bridge is a vital infrastructure project intended to provide a second crossing of the Currituck Sound connecting the mainland to the Outer Banks near Corolla. And whereas the project is critical to improving hurricane evacuation clearance times, which currently exceed the state designated standard for northern Outer Banks. And whereas Dare County has long supported this project to alleviate severe seasonal traffic congestion on NC 12 and US 158, which impacts the quality of life and safety of residents and visitors. And whereas the recent financial analysis indicates that the estimated construction costs for the bridge have risen, creating a significant funding gap beyond currently committed state funds and projected toll revenues. And whereas the county believes the base toll rate of $15 is well below what users would likely pay, and urges NCDOT to analyze the potential impact of higher toll rate to reduce the revenue gap. Whereas the North Carolina Department of Transportation has recently considered pulling back committed funds and requiring the project to recompete for the funding in the State Transportation Improvement Program. And whereas the Dare County Board of Commissioners believes that removing or deprioritizing the project now would undermine decades of planning, environmental reviews, and recent legal victories that have cleared the way for construction. And whereas keeping the project in the STIP for one additional funding cycle provides the necessary time frame for stakeholders, including the North Carolina Turnpike Authority and regional partners, to identify and secure alternative revenue sources such as federal grants or updated toll strategies. Now therefore be it resolved by the Dare County Board of Commissioners that retention in the STIP, Dare County strongly urges NCDOT and the North Carolina Board of Transportation to retain and advance the Mid-Currituck Bridge project, STIP number R-2576, in the current and future state transportation improvement program. The county supports a concentrated effort by state and local officials to aggressively pursue the new revenue streams, including federal U.S. Department of Transportation grants and public-private partnerships to bridge the current funding gap. The county reaffirms the Mid-Currituck Bridge as its highest transportation priority for regional safety, emergency management, and economic stability.
All right, thank you, County Manager.
Motion to approve.
The motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Bateman. Floor is open for further discussion. Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Board. I know our neighbors to the north will certainly appreciate our support.
Chairman, that brings us to item 14 on the agenda, and this is a license and maintenance agreement with the Rodanthe Wave Salvo Community Center. Years ago, when we did the sidewalk or the project there in Rodanthe Waves and Salvo, NC Byways sort of led that project. We had grant funding, and part of the grant funding was that Dare County, as the applicant, I suppose, was responsible for the maintenance of that project. Over time, that had been done by the community and hadn't really had any kind of agreements or things to do that. The Rodanthe Waves Community Center has sort of agreed to continue doing that, but we needed some kind of formal agreement to delegate our authority for that maintenance to them. And so this agreement does that. It really, what they're going to do is they're going to do the routine day-to-day stuff out there. But if a bridge fails or falls in, or there's some significant maintenance item, then that will then fall back on us. This is a 5-year agreement. It'll come back to be renewed in 5 years, but it takes some of that day-to-day maintenance burden off of us, and they've agreed to accept that. But it keeps sort of the long-term, bigger picture maintenance items on us should those kind of things occur. So that's there for your approval. If you have questions, and I'm glad to try to answer those questions.
Okay, any questions, Bobby?
Motion to approve.
Okay, it's motion on the floor by the vice chair to approve as presented. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Chairman, that brings us to item 15, and that's a road request for the Wendover Wave subdivision. As you know, from time to time, subdivisions and communities have asked for their roads to be taken over by the state. As part of that process, it has to be approved by the county commissioners, and so this is one of those where they've asked us to approve that so that they can move forward with the state to see if they can get the roads taken over by the state.
Pleasure of the board.
I have had some email communication with Mr. Amatucci, and I think this will be a huge help for them. It's
Why?
because it's the private road. So if the state takes it over, it takes a lot of burden of moving that sand and all of that for the homeowners that don't live here but are responsible for taking care of that road and our trash trucks and delivery and all of the other things that come into that. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to approve by Commissioner Balance and seconded by Commissioner Bateman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Item 16 on the agenda is a proposed consulting contract for a lobbying group, McGuireWoods, in Washington, D.C. Mr. Chairman, in a second, I'll let you chime in because you were involved, but we've traveled the state and we've traveled to D.C. and we've met and talked and all trying to find ways to solve some of the problems that we're having on Hatteras Island with Highway 12 as well as on our beaches. And again, we're not lobbyists. We're not there every day. We're not before those folks every day. And so the question came, do we need somebody in D.C. advocating for us to try to move some of these things along, and also scouring the things that are available in the agencies there for the possibility of grants and other funding sources there. And those people are connected to the folks that do that kind of thing. And so we talked to a lobbying firm. They presented us with this proposal that's in front of you today. And we talked to them and said, we weren't sure how this would work. We weren't sure how the board would feel about it, and we would bring it to you all to look at and decide if this is something that you wanted to go forward with, if you thought it would be helpful, and if so, then we would get them moving in that direction. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, Mr. Chairman.
Well, yes, there is. Dare County has always been the forerunner of stepping up to the plate and doing what we could to protect our economic engine, and that's our beaches. We've always stepped up to the plate by doing that through beach nourishment. We've lobbied multiple years for the state to put money into a fund that they established but never put any funds in it, not just for Dare County, but for the entire coast of North Carolina. as well as eliminate the moratorium on hardened structures, and most importantly, a short-term and long-term plan for NC 12. We have the ears of some pretty high profile senators in the state legislature to help us with these three items. And we have a lobbying firm that is well respected in the state, lobbying on our behalf for these same three items. And we have gone to the federal legislators multiple times for their help. This is another tool, hopefully in our toolbox, that we can get some traction and get some action on. And that's why we talked to our lobbyist here in Raleigh, and they recommended their constituents in DC to help us, since we can't be there every single day on lobbying on our behalf. So once again, this is just another tool in our toolbox to try to make these things come to fruition. Because we have gotten to the point where we need help. And we need federal help funding, and we need state. So that's why we bring this proposal to you, to work with our federal legislators, just like we're doing with the state lobbyist as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have with respects to this particular item.
Well, I have an issue with this item, as I already previously told you. I'm a Republican elected official, and I'm not okay with funneling Dare County taxpayers' hard-earned money into a very liberal association. Mr. Butterfield was a Democrat congressman. He's going to be the direct one on this federal lobbying. He served in the Congress from 2014 to 2022. He voted with Joe Biden's agenda 100% of the time. The NARAL, Pro-Choice America, gave him 100% rating. He is a big proposer of Planned Parenthood. He also co-authored in the worst bill I think that's ever been passed, the Affordable Care Act, which has drove health insurance premiums through the roof since it's passed. It was a disaster. And Mr. Butterfield doesn't represent me well. He doesn't represent the people who voted for me well. And to throw Dare County taxpayer money just to funnel into a liberal agenda. I mean, 88% of the employees donated Democrat. The top donor recipient in 2024 was Kamala Harris, nearly 3-1 over any other candidate. These people do not serve the best interest of Dare County nor its constituents, and therefore I cannot and I will not vote for it.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I've got something.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Ross.
In my opinion, we've got three strategic problems facing us in no particular order, one of which is both a chronic and acute shortage of housing that we hear and revisit every month. The second, and I'm looking at Dr. Davies in the back at the moment, the advancing disturbing trends we see in mental health disorders, and the #1 issue in a recent survey. And finally, I come to the third, which you've referenced, which we've talked about, the sustainability of Highway 12, the implementation of additional funding, either state or federal or from whatever source we can, to protect our coastline and beaches, and the third dimension of that, which is within state hands, related to the use, development, and implementation of hardened structures. Now, if this group and McGuireWoods, which we have known for years, can help us at a federal level advance solutions against that third, and again, not particular order, strategic priority, I am 100% behind it, with or without the issues of Mr. Butterfield, unless he has in the past stood against efforts to retain, protect, and mitigate issues of our coastline. And I'm unaware of that. So I'm prepared to vote yes on this.
Thank you, Commissioner Ross. County Manager had a comment.
Yeah, I'll just add, understand what we're discussing, what Commissioner Creef said. This lobbying firm is bipartisan. It has a Republican arm. Yeah, no, you're shaking your head. It absolutely
I got the
does.
statistics right here. It's
But they have a
88%.
Republican.
Hold on, Commissioner.
They have a
Creef. Hold on,
Republican
let him
arm.
finish.
They do our lobbying in Raleigh. They're the head lobbyist there is a staunch Republican supporter, and Republican votes and Democrat votes help advance our cause. So votes are votes, and I don't think this is a partisan thing, and I don't think this lobbying firm is partisan. They again, we met with them. We met with the Republican side of the lobbying firm, and Mr. Butterfield was on the call as well. He's the Democratic side of the lobbying firm. And so they lobbied to both parties for whatever that's worth.
Did you have something, Commissioner Balance?
I'm good.
Pardon?
I'm good.
Anyone else?
Being well familiar with the federal government side of this, from several different aspects and several different senators and representatives, I've heard nothing but good things about McGuireWoods Consulting throughout the many years they've served in Washington, D.C. So I would be in support of using them again for our situations here.
I'm going to make a motion that we do this. It's very, very important. It's important for the guys, I mean, Hatteras Island, Highway 12, hardened structures, all those things, we've been fighting for years. I mean, it's fight. It's not going to get any better. And so we need to use every tool in our toolbox to make sure that we take care of our people. I'll make a motion that we approve this.
Did they rework the language in the contract that was printed out and presented to us last month?
They did.
They did.
It's in your packet.
Yeah.
One last thing is this is a terminal at will contract. So
Right.
Yeah,
if we're
absolutely.
not getting results, if it doesn't work, then we have the right to cancel it.
That's right.
We don't owe them anything if we stop it.
That was one of the few clauses
Yeah.
last month that I noticed that I like was that there is a short-term window for which we can say, hey, we want to step away for,
Right. If it doesn't work, we can pull out.
we're not
Right.
getting the return on investment we were seeking.
I'll say we've been, since I've been on this board, we've been talking about how we have to think outside the box
Yes.
and we have to go federal. There's no way we've tried state. And so with that, I would absolutely second Irvin's motion.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Bateman, it's seconded by Commissioner Balance. The floor is open for further discussion. Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Those who oppose,
No.
motion carries 6-1.
So that brings us to item 17 on the agenda. It's speech nourishment topics. And Matt's going to make a presentation to you. While he's coming down, I'll sort of give you a little bit of an entree. We have beach nourishment projects going on throughout the county. We have our project down south. It's going to start here in a month or so. Nags Head's working on a project, and then next year the towns are coming through to do their projects as well. And so there's going to be a lot of beach nourishment going on. And as we all know, we share the burden or the cost of paying for all these projects out of our beach nourishment fund. And we've been working, and I say we, I use the we not very strongly. Matt's been working really hard, trying to come up with a sustainable model to be sure that we can fund beach nourishment into the future and to give numbers to the towns that allows them to plan so they can know what they're getting, and to basically point out to us the problems that we know are coming. We've talked about it a number of times, but over time, the cost of beach nourishment is rising faster than our fund is growing. He's going to present to you a model that we worked on that's going to allow us to continue to fund the towns at our current levels. Those current levels grow by the growth of the fund, but really our commitment to the town would remain constant well into the future under these models. But that isn't going to be enough at some point to continue doing beach nourishment the way we do it. And so what we're doing is getting everything locked in so we know where the money's going, we know what it's doing, and everybody can plan into the future as we talk about these other methods, these other things these other ways to make this go forward. This isn't a problem for this cycle and may not even be a problem for the next cycle, but as you get out 10, 15, 20 years, then we don't know. And I think that there's got to be some planning done, some thinking done in that interim to make sure we can continue to keep our beaches as they are. With that said, Matt's going to take you through a whole bunch of stuff. And then at the end, we're going to ask you to give us some guidance and make some decisions on how we move forward down south. So with that said, Matt, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. So there is, well, as Bobby said, the objective of the model was to come up with an equitable allocation to the towns, prove that over time, allowing that allocation to grow with the growth of the fund still creates a substantive enough fund to support the future maintenance projects that the fund has already been established to commit to. So as Bobby said, this model that we have both created and then projected supports the next 4 nourishment initiatives. Those are the next 4 initiatives for all the maintenance projects that the fund currently supports. And once you get beyond that in 2042, we're going to be revisiting the model and hopefully the science that we're using to maintain the beaches. So we're going to walk you through high level that framework and then ask that you approve the reserve policy of the Beach Nourishment Fund. We're going to talk specifically about the Buxton Avon project, where we stand with FEMA and what the scenarios are, and ask that you authorize Bobby to execute part of that. And we intend to bring more decisions back as it relates to that project to this group, potentially based on what happens with FEMA. So we'll talk about that. There's a budget amendment that we're going to ask you to approve on demolition and debris removal in preparation of the nourishment project in Buxton. And then just an administrative step to approve the Nags Head interlocal agreement, which is based in the amount that you voted on at the February meeting. So as Bobby mentioned, we have met with the town managers and their finance directors individually. We went through the framework and their baseline allocation within the Beach Nourishment Fund, which follows that town allocation through the model. So background on the model, it is funded by occupancy tax, interest earnings, grants, and there is a Buxton Avon property tax allocation. It supports the town projects, but it also has allocations for sand fencing that we provide the towns, as well as about $3 million a year of our dredging. Structures like groin repair can only be funded by the earnings of the fund. So that's to say the occupancy tax cannot be used to fund any hardened structure. So we have created a mechanism in the fund to isolate the investment earnings so that we can earmark those and access them for hardened structures. And in this case, in the Buxton Avon project, it is the groin. So framework, we would not take on an additional project if we cannot substantiate that the fund can support its future maintenance. So if the fund has capacity to do something now, we have to prove that it has capacity to maintain that thing that we do. So given the pressures on the fund, it's limited in its current capacity to the projects that we have supported historically. So the town contributions were initially established by calculating a consistent tax levy on their taxable base. And so towns approach generating that levy in different ways. Like if you think of Nags Head, they have 6 MSDs. But when that was done, that was sort of the fairness that was created with the fund, in that the town contributions were identified and the allocation of the fund was identified. And the way that this model works is similar to like when I described it to the managers, it's like a mutual fund. You buy in your shares, and then as the fund grows, your allocation grows. Now, as we take money out of the fund to do beach nourishment, it's not growing. And so there's a mechanism by which, as it comes back in following the town projects, those towns are participating in the growth of the occupancy tax. And that's part of the presentation that we went through together with them. So historically, all the grants or savings were put back into the beach nourishment fund. We are tweaking that in the model to provide the towns access to grants to maintain the county's allocation as it was in their baseline project, which just means that as costs grow and the amount of the contribution from the beach nourishment is fixed, if we get a big grant, we're going to make that grant available to the town up to that baseline allocation support. And that's a way to share in some of the inflation in the projects, but it also is an incentive for the towns to help us get future grants. So the objective of the Nourishment Fund is to fund future allocations based on this baseline maintenance project that we established for each town, while reflecting occupancy tax growth over time. So a trailing average is used to reduce volatility and smooth growth for planning processes. So that just means that similar to like an endowment model, we're using a trailing average of the occupancy tax growth so that it smooths the volatility so we can model and plan. So one of the things that the towns appreciated is that not only that it's based in an equitable model, but it also provides them the ability to model the amount that they're going to get. And we plan to give them a report each year with what their allocation would be so that they can plan for their projects. All right, so this is the framework for funding the projects. Each project baseline is an established dollar amount and sand volume. It participates, as I said, in the growth of the fund using that endowment model to smooth volatility. In the past, we have provided debt service to towns. So we might have given them a fixed amount of money, and then we said, we'll help you make your debt payments over the next 5 years. So what we did to create the baseline is any town that received a debt subsidy payment, we took the present value of that payment in the year of the project to get a number so that we would set the baseline number. And then within that, we created a formula that allows their financial advisor to model a debt subsidy payment if they want it in a consistent way. But for the purposes of us in the fund, we're basically going to give the town that fixed amount, regardless if they take it as a direct payment or as a subsidy. So the allocation sets the baseline from which the next allocation is calculated. If they do less cubic yards of sand, it's adjusted down. So this just means that we can't have a situation where a town says, we're going to do a smaller project to let the fund pay more of it. This is based on keeping at minimum that relationship, and their contribution has to be at least what it was in that baseline project as a percentage. So any project efficiencies, as I said, or grants can now be used to balance that relationship. And in the model, in the current, so in our 2028 plan for the towns, there's roughly $7.5 million in grants, and we're using those grants to increase what the towns would get. But again, the rule is it cannot be at the detriment of the fund. So we're not assuming that we're getting grants as we model the fund, but we'll prove that if we share those with the towns, it won't be at the detriment of future projects. As the tax rate was created in a consistent way, the towns are not allowed to reduce their tax for beach nourishment from that initial tax rate. If they do, we would change their allocation. So this is really just to establish a methodology for future allocations that's based in fairness and all of the towns were very receptive and understand it.
So Matt, that last bullet, I like, it ensures if they want to continue to move forward, that they have to keep their MSD in place.
They do, or generate the equivalent levy
Right.
in some other way.
Or some other way.
Yep.
Right.
Or if they don't, then it impacts our contribution.
Gotcha.
We're not covering it, and two, it could lessen what we give them.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's critical because, as you very well know, Nags Head eliminated that 1 year, and it made a huge difference in their next project. So that bullet is critical, and I'm glad that they've agreed to that.
So I appreciate that I'm sort of just reading you the rules of a big math problem. And the intent was really to have a simplified math problem, but given the complexity of what we've done in the past, we had to do this all through the theme of sustaining the fund and keeping it fair. So what we are asking you to approve is the reserve of the fund. So this fund hasn't had a reserve because it really didn't have this framework in place. The other funds like the capital, when we do the CIP, there's a reserve framework in that fund. So the baseline of the reserve of this fund we're proposing is 1.5 times the occupancy tax revenue. The occupancy tax revenue is the majority of the income in the fund. As we allocate or plan for these future allocations, it's the majority of the debt service. So we use that as a reference point, and we use 1/3 of the reserve to be held for disruption in that occupancy tax. That is the equivalent of what we're doing in the CIP fund, in which case we're saying we need a 0.5 debt service coverage ratio as our floor, which just means that you always have at least a half a year's of your debt payment in your reserve. So if something happens with that income stream, you can make your debt payment. So that is the floor of this reserve. In the same way it's calculated in a different way, but it effectively gets you to the same floor as what we're using in the CIP. So the remaining 2/3 is available for the repair and construction of hardened structures and or for the county to aid in the response to a catastrophic erosion event. So this would be at the discretion of you, as we need to provide for the repair or creation of hardened structures, and or if there is something that this model can't support and we need to come to the aids of the town.
Let's talk about that just for a second. You know that we have been out, the collective, we have been out in the meetings that we've been to and the things that we've done advocating for other tools to mitigate oceanfront shoreline erosion, which means hardened structures. And the chairman has met and Commissioner Balance has met and others of you have met with our leaders in Raleigh, trying to get them to go that way. I've had conversations with the CRC. I was at the American Shore and Beach Preservation Association conference week before last and talked about it there, as well as other issues with this. This isn't going on in a vacuum. This has gotten nationwide attention. So there's a science panel for the Coastal Resources Commission working on this. There's other communities, Figure 8 Island for one is working on hardened structures things. And the idea being is as this science becomes available and as these rules start changing, we have to have a mechanism in addition to what we're spending on beach nourishment to provide some of these things or to test some of these things or to spend some money to see if they work in certain areas. And we don't have any fund for that. If we take every dollar we put and put it in sand, then what are we going to do if we have a $20 million something that might work and we don't have $20 million? So this fund will create some dollars that we can use to work on those things. Maybe more importantly, it is a backstop if we have a catastrophic event that takes out beaches up and down our county beyond what we anticipate, and not knowing what FEMA is going to do about paying for lost beach numbers, we at least have some dollars that you all can allocate to try to resolve those problems in those catastrophic things, because the model doesn't take those into account and won't cover those costs. So again, it gives us some money to prepare for the unknown in two ways, if you will, that we did not have. And it does that while maintaining the same level of funding that we've had in the past for our other projects. And it's not enough money that would allow us to actually build another project. So again, it covers some bases, but it doesn't cover them to the detriment of anything else that we're trying to do. So.
Thanks. This second to last bullet. There you go. The second to last bullet is really an accounting rule. So the mechanics of this will allow us to use the investment income. We're going to put it first in the reserve, and then we're going to rebalance the reserve. And we're going to use that to prove, if anyone challenges how we paid for hardened structures, that it was specifically funded by investment income, which is within our right to do. And this last bullet is just to say that if we do vote to use the reserve for any of the reasons we just described, that we would collectively work on a timeline to restore it, and we would prioritize that debt service, that 0.5 or the 1/3 of occupancy tax reserve as an allocation for disruption in the revenue and to provide for the payment of debt service. So that's important as we think about rating agencies, that we have something like that in place. So I know that's a lot, but that's the framework and the request for the reserve criteria. Do you want to do voting at the end of, or do you want to?
Would you like to deal with this now? Then we'll deal with Buxton
Yeah,
next.
let's take them individually, to three individually, if you don't mind. I'll ask the board if they have any questions with regard to the model.
Yeah, I got a question. Matt, you've done really well with this. One of my concerns is obviously the rates per cubic foot on the dredging and the sand process on the new nourishments is gone up considerably because of obviously cost of living, everything going up. Certainly gas prices aren't going to help right now. With this model, I mean, our occupancy tax for the last 2 years is kind of leveled off, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
You think with the ever increasing cost of these nourishment projects, do you think we're going to be able to sustain this 3 parts revenue? What are we looking at, 61 million reserve? Is that correct? You want to have it equal to 1.5 times the 24 million, or no, 1.5 times. Okay, only 36 million.
No, that's a misunderstanding. Please clarify, Matt.
Yeah, so the reserve is based in occupancy tax.
Yeah.
But I think what you're asking is that expenses are growing faster than everything else in this.
Then our revenues grow.
Right. And so what we see in the model is a lot of pressure as you get out to 2042, and that doesn't.
Before you get there, Matt, please explain the misunderstanding regarding 24 million to 36 and why it's appropriately 24 million as the amount of reserve, 1.5 times revenue. There's a confusion here.
Yeah, so the 24 million is just 1.5 times the annual occupancy tax.
Oh, that is.
That's what it is in FY27. That's where that number comes from. And the way the model works is all of the town's allocations grow with the growth of occupancy tax. So the relationship between the town commitment and the reserve stays the same. So there won't be pressure on the reserve. The pressure is going to come from what you said, the increase in the cost of the nourishment projects themselves.
But you think the model's good through 42, is what you're saying?
It provides a consistent amount of money that grows with the growth of the fund.
So what this model does, this model is how we use our funds. This model is not the total cost of a beach nourishment project because the towns contribute. So what this does is this holds our contributions to the town constant over time, constant in that they only grow if the fund grows. And so if we gave a town $20 million, they get the $20 million every 5 years, plus whatever the growth, if any, occurred in that 5 years. And then if the costs then exceed that plus what they were putting in, they got to find a way to come up with
But
that
they got to
excess.
find a way,
They gotta
not
find-
us.
Right.
That's what
right.
I, okay.
Yeah.
Because I do believe at some point in the future, it's going to add up more than this cowboy makes, and we ain't going to have enough money to cover all these
And
projects.
I agree, and
That's why we're fighting so hard to get state and federal funding, Commissioner.
Well,
And
federal funding. yeah,
And I
I'll
think the
believe that when I
grants
see it.
have been the plug to allow it to work, but if the grants stop, if FEMA stop, if there's not some other source, yeah, there is definitely that pressure, so.
Matt, does the model and the assumptions we've used assume the inclusion of the I think it was $29 million of FEMA funding? We have not included that in any of our model calculations, right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent job, man.
So we need a motion to accept it.
Well, the floor is still open for any questions concerning the model. Are there any other questions concerning the model? If not, a motion would be in order to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance to approve the model as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
It's seconded by Commissioner Ross. Once again, the floor is open for further discussion.
I'll add that I know this takes a lot of work, and I appreciate all the work by the commissioners that were involved in this, as well as yourself, Matt, and your staff. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. All right.
Next topic is Buxton Avon. Do you want it frame or you want me to go?
Frame it, Bobby.
Frame.
So we're at a place in Buxton and Avon, and well, back up. As you know, the original project was designed and we contemplated getting FEMA money. And back in January of 2025, we went to FEMA and FEMA said, yes, you're eligible, and yes, your calculations are right, and yes, this is something that we would pay for like we have in the past. And so we felt comfortable with that. Well, from then to now, things change. And so now we're unsure still whether we're getting the FEMA dollars or not getting the FEMA dollars. And so we've done a lot of things. We've been to our congressional delegation to try to get our thing pulled out of the stack. We've been to the state emergency management folks that manage North Carolina's portion of FEMA to get them to do whatever they can do to get us pulled out of the stack. We've been to our contractor and said, you know, give us as much time as you possibly can to make a final decision on the project so that we have time to hear from FEMA. But where we are is we don't think we're going to hear from FEMA. We've got a phone call. We've had a phone call on the 1st with Great Lakes, and we talked through all this, and we talked about some strategies to try to, one, give them a commitment where they can go ahead and plan their fuel and their equipment and all the logistics they've got to do, but at the same time, give us time to wait to see what FEMA's done. And they're approaching a place where they can't wait any longer. I don't know if we've scheduled that call, but there should be a call coming up in the next few days, I would expect, with them to follow up because they had to go back and look at their stuff. And so we're at a place where we're going to have to make some decisions on what are we going to do with this project. And Matt's going to go through that with you in just a second. You know, we've been through it with our contractors. We're trying to figure out what gives us 5 years, you know, what's the minimum we can do for 5 years? You know, if we get the FEMA money, can we do the maximum? We're working with our contractor to say we'll do a contract that starts you at the minimum, and if we hear from FEMA within a certain time, you can add more sand to it to go ahead and do a FEMA project, those kind of things. And so we're working through all those things, but we've got to be in a position to tell them yay or nay about a minimum project, and then in a position later on for you to have authorized us to do the full FEMA project if that money came in mid-month. We don't want to wait 2 or 3 weeks to have a meeting to make a decision. So Matt's going to take you through some of this and ask you for some authority for us to start entering those contracts.
All right, so there's fundamentally 3 scenarios. Okay, here's the slide. So the first is the FEMA scenario, which we are not confident, as Bobby said, we'll have confirmation of in advance of starting the project. Our objective is to delay the final decision on the sizing of the project as long as possible to keep this window open. So the FEMA scenario is 2 million cubic yards in Buxton, 800,000 cubic yards in Avon. That, including the groin repair, is roughly $65 million. The FEMA contribution is just over $30 million. And because there's other grants in the model, the cost to the Beach Nourishment Fund for that is about $30 million. So that's scale. Our baseline scenario is the scenario that we put together when we did our bid, assuming we had no FEMA funding. That was 1,351,616 cubic yards of sand in Buxton, which was the FEMA declared volume. And it was 300,000 cubic yards in Avon. So the cost of that project, our baseline project, is $45 million. And because there's no FEMA assumption, the cost to the Beach Nourishment Fund of that is $40 million. So the third scenario we've been molding as we get more and better information and we'll call it half-baked, but we're going to ask you to approve part of it.
It's not a derogatory half-baked, it's partially in process. Okay?
Yes. Insert better description there. Is to have Great Lakes start in Avon and work north to south to provide as much time as possible for the Buxton volume decision. In their modeling, it looks like the optimal sand volume or minimal optimal sand volume in Avon to maintain the 5-year plus project given erosion assumptions is 375,000, which is 75,000 more than what we had in that baseline bid. So in that model, I guess in that scenario, we would be asking to do 375,000 in Avon and to reconvene the group or come back to you at the next meeting, depending on the timing of that we need to provide Great Lakes the ultimate decision on the volume for Buxton, meaning we will explore whatever we can do within the model to maximize that Buxton nourishment project, if that is what makes the most sense. And to the extent we become very pessimistic on the FEMA funding.
And the options on Buxton at that point are either 1.35, 1.9, or 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, you could have a volume between 1.35 and 1.9, but the 1.9 that you're referencing comes from that erosion analysis as like the optimal project size.
I'm trying to frame this a different way. So what we've done is we plan projects for 5-year increments. And so we went to our contractor and we said, what do we got to do in Buxton to get 5 years? If you take normal erosion rates, you can do 5 years at that 1.351 cubic yards. If you take the last 2 years erosion rates in isolation, then you probably won't get 5 years out of 1.35. The assumption is that the erosion rates have exacerbated in the last 2 or 3 years because of the failure of the groin that we're about to replace, meaning we believe that as we replace the groin that we can get 5 years out of that 1.351 million cubic yards. However, we asked them if there's more money available, what buys us a year, what buys us 2 years, what buys us 3 years? And we don't want to put some amount in that we're going to lose in 3 months and throw that money away. So there's some break point where it's not worth putting more sand. And what are those break points? And so they ran some graphs and some things for us that came out with the scenario that Commissioner Ross was just talking about. If you do 1.35 on normal erosion rates there and a groin, then you can get 5 years out of that. If you're concerned and you want to mitigate that risk, then you can do some more if you can afford that. And that is the middle ground approach. And then if you get the FEMA money, you go ahead and do 2 million cubic yards, and then you're pretty confident it'll stay for 5 years, irrespective of what erosion rate occurs. And so those are our scenarios. We can't, where we are is we need to tell Great Lakes we're committed to something. And so we want to go to them and tell them we're committed to the 1.351 million cubic yards in Buxton, and how much in Avon? 375,000 in Avon.
So that's the bare minimum of the totality of the project in both locations.
And go ahead and do a contract and sign it with them that says, yes, we're on for beach nourishment in these 2 areas at these volumes. And if the dollars become available, we reserve the right to increase those volumes. They're going to have a provision in that contract that says, yes, we'll agree to that, but you have to tell us by some date when you're going to increase those volumes. And if you don't know by then we can't commit resources to do that. Right. And you're stuck with the 1.35. So that's where we are. And so what we're going to ask you to do is, one, is to let us move forward with the base minimum. If the FEMA money comes in between now and the time that we meet again, to let us do the FEMA project, the full FEMA project. And if that doesn't occur and we have some money and we have an opportunity, we'll come back to you and talk about the middle ground project and what that would mean. And then you can say yay or nay then. That, I think.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's what we're asking you to do today.
Yeah. And I'm fine with that, but let me throw another wrench in here. We don't get the FEMA money in time for the Great Lakes to do that portion of it. 3 or 4 months goes by and all of a sudden we get the FEMA money. FEMA has a 24-month requirement that you got to use those funds, correct?
I don't know the answer to that. Do you, Matt?
That's what they have been in the past.
Yeah.
But you would, so I think the use of the funds is that you have to prove that you did the 1,351,616 cubic yards, which you will have done. So even though the money would come late, it would be a reimbursement. You wouldn't have to use it for this project because you would have earned it.
I understand we didn't have to use it for this project,
No.
but we got a 24, in prior years when we've had that, we've had a 2-year requirement that we had to use that money.
Yes. So what happened in those projects is we got the commitment and the money before we started the project. And so that wasn't an issue.
Right.
But it's a reimbursable amount. So you build the project and they give you the money back. FEMA's paying for 1.351 million cubic yards and 375 in Avon. So what we would do is we would take that money, we would reimburse ourselves for what we just did as soon as we got it.
Well, okay, that's where I'm going with it.
And then that would leave the money that we just spent available. I don't think there's some permit requirements about.
Okay, that's
how
the
long we
answer
can
I'm
go,
looking for.
But we would have that to do another project there.
Okay.
Yeah,
So if they reimbursed us with that money, would we be able to put it in the account where we could invest to get the interest for
it would go
hardened
back
structures?
into the
Yeah,
nourishment
okay.
fund. Yeah.
So it would be a beneficial investment
Yes.
later on too for the hardened
Or-
structures.
We could go and get another permit and
Do
add
another
sand
project,
to
yeah.
Buxton if we
Yeah.
needed to.
Exactly. We can
Okay.
get another permit later on if we do get reimbursed
Yeah, but it'd have to
later.
be a year
Yes.
down the road because there's
Exactly.
only certain
Well,
times a
hopefully
year
the
that they do beach
1.35
nourishment.
million can last a year.
we still have no indication of when, if FEMA's looked at it, where we are in that? There's nothing we've heard from anybody on it? Is there a deadline for when we should hear by? Like,
So getting information from FEMA is difficult because they're shut down. They're in the DHHS shutdown. I've been, and I've talked with in Murphy's office, I've talked to Congressman Davis's office, I've talked to Tillis's office, and I've talked to Bud's office. And they've all responded back, and they're all reaching out to their connections, whoever they are, their liaisons with FEMA, trying to get this moving forward. There's a new director in DHHS.
And he was actually in North Carolina 2 days ago.
Yeah, well, this is theoretically already been vetted, so we know that it's approvable. It's just somebody's got to release it and get it out of the stack and say, hey, give them their money, unless they're going to not give anybody money. And we're doing all we can do to put pressure on them to get them out of the stack. The first thing we're going to do with this lobbyist when this meeting's over is to get with them and say,
get this done.
you go to whoever your contacts are at FEMA and start getting this money released as well. So and I'll just tell you, I met with, when I was at the ASBPA meeting in Washington, D.C., I met with a guy, one of the vice presidents of Great Lakes Dredging, and we talked for a while, and he's got some contacts up there, and I explained to him the situation that we're having, and he said he would work his contacts as well. And just by the way, as an aside, I talked to him that he's pricing us out of the market, and he better start thinking of some ways to mitigate the cost of Nourishment, or else us and other small local communities that are self-funded aren't going to be able to do this forever, and they need to help us find solutions, and he committed to that as well. So anyway, so we've done everything we can do to try to get it released, but if you're asking me for times, I got no idea. That'd be a wag at best.
So are you looking for approval on the baseline
Yes.
scenario or the expanded scenario?
I'm looking for an approval on the authority to enter the contract on the baseline scenario and authority to increase it to the FEMA project if we get the FEMA money before May.
So moved.
And
Well, hang on.
almost perfect.
Almost.
Almost, right.
With the incremental 75,000
There you
cubic
go.
yards in
That's
Avon,
right.
Yes.
and that they
That's the only
started.
thing
Yeah.
I had as well, Matt. Yes.
So moved.
All right, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance. Is there a second? Second by the Vice Chair. Floor is open for further discussion. Hearing none,
Oh,
those in
hang on. There's good news and bad news. One, the incredible work that went into disciplining the structure and rules and process for this model. These guys were kind enough to give me a little bit of time to go through it with them, which was extremely productive. And again, I thank you, Matt, you and your team, and Bobby, for whatever help you could provide for Matt. That was a good job too.
Go team.
Yeah, there you go. The bad news side of this, guys, is it reveals between 2026, the year we're about to begin doing this work, in 2042, putting into place the projects we've got, as well as their regular cadence of maintenance, is just in excess of $375 million in 17 years. I said, wait a minute, we don't want to buy the state of Connecticut. We're just trying to keep beaches open. And the costs, as Bobby said, he mentioned even to the guy from Great Lakes, your cost structure is increasingly making it untenable as a long-term solution for maintaining our coastline. So as Bobby mentioned, it is going to require, I think, and I would agree, innovative, creative solutions with state and or federal help outside of simply bidding and contracting with an independent party to whom we are basically we're locked. I mean, we don't have a great deal of flexibility here. So that was my takeaway, both the great work and the discipline. Really, I applaud the discipline put into place so that when we are gone, or Matt's gone, or Bobby's gone, this framework, this model stands with whomever is at the towns, whoever's sitting at in these chairs, and it won't be subjected to a lot of whims and winds of change, or how the winds were blowing. So that's really well done. And I look forward to getting good news on our FEMA reimbursement so we can increase the Buxton cubic yards.
And to that point, Matt did all the heavy lifting and
Yeah.
really did the work on this. The only thing I could provide is I'm like the only one left that has the history of this from sort of start to finish. Even most of the towns have managers that weren't here when we started. And so this is a good opportunity to memorialize all these policies and things that we've said verbally over and over, and everybody sort of kind of understood. Now it's locked in place, and these are in fact the policies, and you all have now adopted them formally. And so they're there for everybody to follow as we go forward. So that's a good benefit of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's in the past, and I'll go back way from the beginning with it. It's been a gentleman's agreement, and it's worked extremely well. And what brought this to fruition, to really get it in a agreement and format and writing, there were some issues with Nags Head's maintenance project that they're about to do. And that's really what brought this to head, to sit down and put this in writing with the rest of the towns. And so I'm glad that we've done that. And I'll just reiterate, you're exactly right, Rob, but that's why I'm busting my buns every single month with state and federal legislators talking about, we can't do it anymore by ourselves. We got to have help. And I deal with this every single month myself.
This is a massive amount of money.
It is. It absolutely is. And that's why we need help. And that's why I'm calling and doing what I'm doing with the state and feds month after month after month. We've got to get state and federal help. And the more we do, that's why I'm getting ready to do a video on the three issues. The rest of the state, they don't have a clue what we're dealing with. And that's why I'm getting ready to do this video so that we can share with them what our concerns are and what we need and what help we need. Right. I'm not sitting on this on my buns. I'm dealing with this every single month for this board. We got a motion on the floor. Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
One more thing, Matt.
Next.
Yes, we got Nags Head.
Budget amendment and then Nags Head,
That's it. What about,
interlocal.
what about the stuff on the beach?
That's the budget amendment.
Okay.
Yep, that's next. So we're going to get this slide. Perfect. All right. Well, or not.
You want us to execute the Nags Head interlocal agreement consistent with the funding allocations approved back in February. That's what your request is for Nags Head, correct?
That's the Nags Head. There was a budget amendment. We can flip the order and do the interlocal first, but that's,
Okay.
Yep.
It's in the packet part.
Yeah. All right.
I can see it here.
Okay, good. You want to do the interlocal first?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's exactly that, and this is based in the interlocal agreement that was used in the previous project. It just spells out the contribution from the fund. That contribution is contingent on the town paying their share of the project. So
Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion on the floor by Vice Chair House. Second.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Burris and Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
the last thing that we have for beach nourishment is the budget amendment, which is an up to approval for the removal of, is really for demolition and removal of some structures that can't be there when we do the beach nourishment project. So
So our permits require us to remove all the old debris, the pilings, the old swimming pools, septic tanks. If a house is leaning and is in the line of where the dune has to go, we got to get that house out of the way, all those things. And so this is to allow us the authority to deal with all those issues.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance. It's been seconded by the Vice Chair and Commissioner Bateman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, that brings us to our consent agenda. On the consent agenda, you have the approval of the minutes from March 2nd, tax collector's report, authority to advertise the 2025 tax year liens, contract with Train US for the Justice Center, a Fair Housing Month proclamation, a budget amendment for the insurance fund, a budget amendment for the A250 committee, a budget amendment for Parks and Recreation, Dare County Transportation Procurement Policy update, a Dare County Parks and Recreation Advisory Council bylaw revision, and the Dare County Tourism Board request for a consent expenditure from restricted fund item 5160.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Ross. Any further discussions? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next is your board appointments. The first is the Airport Authority. The Airport Authority recommends the reappointment of Wally Overman and the appointment of Doc Sawyer to be appointed to fill the vacancies.
Make a motion, we reappoint Wally Overman and appoint Doc Sawyer.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Bateman, seconded by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next is the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. The JCPC recommends the appointment of Michael Wagner and Jessica Petrick to the two at-large vacancies. They also recommend the reappointment of Jamie Koch.
Motion to approve.
Motion is on the floor by Vice Chair to approve,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Balance. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next is the Mans Harbor Marina Commission. The Mans Harbor Marina Commission recommends the reappointment of Audra Shackelford, Paul Mann V, and Jeff James.
Motion to approve.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance, seconded by
Second.
Vice Chair. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next is the Older Adult Services Advisory Council. The Older Adult Services Advisory Council recommends the reappointment of Maggie Dennis and Mary Ellen Holland. They also recommend the appointment of Vicki West to the vacancy.
Motion to approve.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Balance, seconded by Commissioner Burris. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next is the Park and Recreation Advisory Council. The council recommends the appointment of Margaret Northrup to the vacant seat.
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Bateman, seconded by
Second.
Vice Chair. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next is the Tourism Board. The Town of Kill Level Hills Commissioners have designated the following nominees in order of preference for the town's representative to fill the vacancy formerly held by Commissioner Terry Gray. Their first priority would be Commissioner Dylan Hykins. The second would be Mayor John Winley, and third would be Commissioner Ivy Ingram.
Commissioner nominate Dylan Hykins.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Bateman to nominate Commissioner Dylan Hykins. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by the Vice Chair. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next is your upcoming board and committee appointments. In May, you have the Veterans Advisory Council with 2 terms expiring and the Zoning Board of Adjustments with 2 terms expiring. In June, you have the College of the Albemarle Board of Trustees with 1 term expiring, the extraterritorial jurisdiction district for the town of Nags Head with 1 term expiring. The Pheasant Center Advisory Board with 6 terms expiring. The Hatteras Community Center Board with 2 terms expiring. The Juvenile Crime and Prevention Council with 4 terms expiring. Library Board with 1 term expiring. The Mans Harbor Community Center Board with 2 terms expiring. The Northeastern Workforce Development Board with 1 term expiring. The Roanoke Island Community Center Board with 2 terms expiring. The Transportation Advisory Board with 3 terms expiring. And the Waterways Commission with 4 terms expiring. And then in July, you have the Airport Authority with 1 term expiring. The Game and Wildlife Commission with 4 terms expiring. And the Wanchese Community Center Advisory Board with 2 terms expiring. And that would be your agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, County Manager. That brings us to item 20, County Business and Manager Attorney Business. Do you have anything else for us today, Bobby?
I'm looking, hang on 1 second. Yeah, a couple of things. One, I wanted to update you on the transportation issues that we had with the hospital. I think that we're at a place where we got those resolved. The chairman and I and Matt were on a phone call and had a few conversations with them since the last time that we've talked to you all. And then Jenny and I had some meetings with them in addition to that over time to basically get us to where we are now. And where we are now, and to sort of to set the stage for you a little bit, the hospital has grown. Well, from day one, we've provided all the transportation because we were all that there was in Dare County and there wasn't a hospital. And when the hospital came, we kept doing the transportation, even though transportation is technically the hospital's responsibility. Over time, the hospital grew and their transportation needs grew. And over time, our EMS has grown and our demands for EMS services, our primary mission, has grown as well. And we're getting at an inflection point where we needed to do something to spend some money to make this work and to grow the EMS side of this thing. We put some alternatives on the table. One was for them to pay for 1 truck and 1 crew, and we would provide 1 crew and 1 truck, and then we would provide 2 trucks together to provide the transportation services. So in that scenario, they subsidized us, which they haven't been doing for a while, forever, and that was helpful. Another would be for them to pay for 2 trucks, and another would have been for us just to stop doing it all together and leaving the community in the lurch to do whatever came of that. The resolution was the 1 truck resolution. They're going to fund 1 truck. They're going to do it in a way that allows us to have a crew where we can dedicate resources to that. It helps our position from where we were with no subsidy. The 2 truck approach didn't work for it. If they were going to do that, they felt like they needed to just take over the whole transportation. That would have included the helicopter, and that would have been problematic for us and for our community. And so we couldn't really do that either. And so we wound up where we are. And so we're going to move forward with that approach. The budget that we bring you next week will have that in it, and it'll be prepared based on that. And so just to make you aware.
Was Jenny pleased?
Was who pleased?
Our chief, Jenny Collins.
Please.
Too strong.
She's pleased that we're in a better place than we were, but it isn't like it's not the ideal solution. But
Jenny's never mentioned it to me.
It's a good solution, and we've got a contract that we're working on, and so we'll be coming back to you with that contract. But I just want you to be aware because I didn't want to spring that on you the first time in the budget workshop when we came there. DOT is going to have their board down here. Do you remember what that day was?
May something, yeah.
May something.
Tess is going to be with us.
And it's an opportunity for us to do what we've been talking about all morning with their board. We would like to provide dinner for the board if we're allowed to do that. There may be some reasons why we can't do that. It's okay. So we'd like to do that, and I'd like the authority to use the contingency to pay for that dinner. Dorothy, you had a number, and I forgot what it was. But use $6,000 out or thereabouts out of contingency to cover the cost of that dinner with their board members. That's a cheap opportunity for us really to get them all. So
Who all will be at the dinner?
It's gonna
From
be-
our side, I guess.
Any of us
Anybody?
who wants to go?
Well, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman.
Yeah.
Sounded like a good opportunity.
Yeah.
that number
Absolutely.
includes our board, their board, and some of the other officials in DOT that aren't on their board.
Yeah, this is,
No brainer.
So I need that authority, please.
move to give him authority.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. by
Second by everybody.
Commissioner Ross, second by Commissioner Balance.
Everybody.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries
And
unanimously.
then, Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, I need a closed session.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. That brings us to Ms. Hester, our Public Information Officer. Do you have anything for us?
Everything Dare A250 fair related.
That's
We're in the thick of finalizing everything for the 18th. All the tickets have been reserved for the evening portion at Festival Park, so that's 3,500.
Yeah.
So it is going to be sold out. Yeah, it is exciting. I'll have your tickets, 2 tickets for each of y'all, along with the parking pass next week. I wasn't able to get that for you today. And Vice Chairman House will be speaking on behalf of y'all at the opening ceremony in the morning and in the afternoon. So in case you haven't been following it, downtown, there'll be entertainment and vendors and street performers and lots of good things, food and beverages. That runs from 11 to 4. And then Festival Park is 3:30 to 7. And the 3:30 to 7 is ticketed due to the capacity of the venue. And like I said, it's full. It's going to be a great day. It's just a lot that we're pulling together. And of course, Carl is chairing that. So I need to give him a shout out because I don't know how he's managing his business and also leading the charge for everything. So it's going to be a great day. And I hope y'all will attend. And once we get past that, March was a busy month with the State of the County the 2 State of the County presentations, both well attended. I was really pleased, Commissioner Balance, with Buxton. I enjoyed being down there. I think the chairman has indicated he'll do that again. So yeah, just time's moving quickly. A lot going on.
Great celebration. I'm anxious and excited that it's going to be a great day. Unfortunately, I'm out of town, but
You've had that planned.
yeah,
I
I've
know,
had that
for a
planned
long
for a
time.
long time. So unfortunately, I won't be here. And thank you, Vice Chairman, for
My pleasure.
Matt, Finance Director. You have anything else for us?
No, we're just switching from beach now to budget, and so I look forward to that meeting on the 14th.
Okay. All right. That brings us to Commissioner's business. And Commissioner Bateman, do you mind kicking that off?
So, Bobby, I want to thank you and thank Warren and all the folks and the commissioners at the time that came up, whoever orchestrated the beach nourishment plan. And the reason why I'm telling you all this, and Bob, you were a commissioner in Kildover Hills.
Yep.
I was a commissioner in Kitty Hawk. And we were beating ourselves up, for folks that don't know, what to do about beach nourishment. We had gone to the federal government. We didn't qualify. And we were dead in the sand until y'all came up with this plan. And so this is what was laid out today is an extension of that and it kind of gives us a blow by blow how it came about. It's really remarkable because we would have been dead in the water. And this is a long-term investment for our tourism. People weren't going to come to Kitty Hawk at the time because we didn't have any beach. We were losing houses every day, getting ready to lose Highway 12. Everything was going to to the outhouse, so to speak. And you kind of saved us. We appreciate your efforts and continuous efforts. The library board, you know, we talk about how would these decisions impact our children and families. When I was a young boy growing up and it was my escape to get into a book. I used to go upstairs and read the encyclopedia. I used to go to the library 2-3 times a week. We cannot discount how much importance it is for these libraries across the county and for our children, because they can go anywhere they want to go through a book and fantasize. You can dream by the reality of other people's lives. So we can't forget that. Other than that, I'm a happy camper today. We had business this weekend, and so we look forward to the season coming up. Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Creed?
Yeah, one of the things I'd like to speak on is obviously Matt you've done an excellent job. I mean, day one, from you coming here, working through all these processes, obviously these beach nourishment projects, a huge deal, and you've done an excellent job. And for the people of Buxton, with this baseline package, you will get some relief. I know y'all have been working so hard, going to DC and everything else. I just say to continue to lobby, continue doing your part, because you're definitely helping. And you never know, we might get this FEMA money in time and be able to do the full scale project. If not, with the reimbursement, we might be able to fast line another project in the future. So appreciate everything that they're doing. Certainly Brian Harris leading that up and going to DC. Another thing, that A250, you know, a lot of times when I sit in this chair, I think to myself, what would my ancestors do, who served in different delegations in Congress, one of which signed the Declaration. And I just love American history, and I'm so excited for that opportunity to come to Manio. I was excited to hear when they changed the venue over to Manio, because this is the birthplace of America. It's where the first settlers ever came. So that's all well and good. Other things going on, marine fisheries wise, obviously the trout getting shut down 2 years in a row is just so detrimental to our economy and our commercial fishing. In this springtime of the year is usually our best trout fishing, and 2 years in a row, our inshore gillnet fishermen have had to go without that source of income, which is a large portion of their year's income. Another thing, there's a particular case right now dealing with speckled trout where an individual was charged by both the Wildlife Department and Marine Fisheries Department for criminal charges. And those two, one of which is based on inland waters laws and other of which is based on the actual fishable waters with marine fisheries. In that particular case coming up next week, you've got a very big conflict of interest there. You've got two conflicting parties, one saying one thing's legal, one saying another thing's legal. And our commercial fishermen across eastern North Carolina are caught in the middle of what precedent does this set? Are we allowed to transport fish through inland waters or are we not? Can we go to our docks here or do we have to go over here? It's just those two departments need to get them in a room, find some level ground. And I know they've had arguments in the past, but when it's affecting our fishermen here and we don't know what the proper litigation process is, it's kind of remarkable to me that they don't have some kind of a joint task force in that regard. Other than that, weather's warming up. Enjoy the outside. I've seen a bunch of people going to the beach already, so that's cool. But y'all got to quit wrecking. Goodness gracious, we had 2 school bus wrecks last week. Terrible wreck up there in Nags Head yesterday. Just pay attention when you're driving and try to keep everybody safe out there this year. That's all I got.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burris?
Thank you, Chairman. I would like to point out, Ms. Hester's already kind of pointed out how busy a month you guys had, and I just wanted to say what a fantastic job our Public Information Department does, and Skylar as well. The 3 of you ladies with Stephanie and Caitlin and you, Ms. Hester, and then Skylar also being at all the events you had the Coastal Counties Coalition meeting, You had both of the state of the county meetings. We had the parade. We had a lot of things going on in the month of March, and you guys didn't skip a beat. Everything was perfect. And I look forward to the event this month with the A250 on the 18th. And I think you guys just did a fantastic job, and I wanted to let you know that. You guys, as always, fantastic job. Matt, fantastic job with the information you provided us and the form in which you put it. Sometimes it's one thing to collect information and put it together. And another time, it's how you present it and make it so that the people you're presenting to, because not all of us are as financially sound as you are with the knowledge base you have and what you do. So putting that out there for us to understand it and make it easy for anybody who was watching today, hopefully to understand that. Just fantastic job. I see Mr. Nichols out there. You've hung with us for the whole meeting. Glad you're here. Glad you're involved. He'll be on the Board of Education this fall. So I'm glad to see you're here and seeing what's going on the county side of it too, because there will be a lot of overlap and things that go on between both boards, and you'll work together, and that'll be great. So thank you for toughing it out. And Miss Mary Helen, how are you doing? It's good to see you out there. Yeah, and Corinne, the media folks that tough it out every Monday, first Monday of the month. So thank you all for coming out. And then other than that, just try and stay clear of the pollen if you're out there. I know it's been a rough couple weeks for me. It always is this time of year with the pollen. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks.
Commissioner Balance.
Thank you, Chairman Woodard. Couple things. First, I just want to say with the things that we did earlier in this meeting with the children and our youth is just the commitment that this community and this board and the Board of Education have to making sure our youth are taken care of and doing everything we can to be proactive, and that is really inspiring. If you haven't been to Kids Fest, it is a pretty amazing event. I went for the first time last year, and it was phenomenal. There is still an opportunity to sponsor if you want to be a sponsor for that. I think the cutoff for advertising your sponsorship is tomorrow, but that event is on May 8th. The RPO for the Albemarle Commission, I did send, and I think I copied you guys in this, I did go ahead and take all of the bridges that were identified in the Highway 12 Task Force. I sent an email to the RPO the person we work with at the RPO, his name is Ethan, and requested that those all be included on the next go-round of the STIP. And so it became important to me after Bob and I went and we were in Raleigh and met with Senator Rabin that was an important thing to check off the list. I'm not hopeful that anything will become of it other than what we probably won't qualify, but that kind of helps us as we lobby for moving forward at the state and federal levels to try to come up with some solutions for Highway 12. There was a law that we all got letters, all of our commercial fishermen got letters that they have to start reporting their bycatch. So if you go out fishing, and this was a law that was put in, it was done a while ago, but it just came up, everybody got a letter saying that starting December 1st, when we go to our pound nets, if we throw over undersized fish, we have to report it. We have to have a trip ticket for it. If you don't have, it's very convoluted and it's very difficult. It also is giving the Division of Marine Fisheries director the ability to pull your license if you violate. So that's a really risky thing for me. So I have spoken with John Nicholson with the department, with DEQ, and he shares my concerns. So we'll be in some further discussions with that. On a positive note, this is a positive for fishing. You ready?
I'm ready.
We had the South Atlantic Marine Fisheries came down, they did some group things. And they came down, they did one in Hatteras, they did one in Manio, and they did some in the other beaches. Well, Mary Helen, remind me of the numbers. Hatteras had 34 fishermen that came out, more than any other of the other meetings, to sit down and talk with those marine fisheries people, with the federal marine fisheries. And one of the things that also made a point to is that the state marine fisheries and federal marine fisheries have got to start having conversations with each other, because a lot of times those, the things that they're trying to implement contradict each other and put our fishermen in limbo and make it just even more difficult. But we had a really good turnout up here in Manio too. And Mary Helen, you called me and told me the numbers, and I can't remember exact numbers, but it was like 20. There was like 20 some up here in Manio as well. But really proud of our fishermen and hatters for coming out and meeting with the South Atlantic Marine Fisheries Commission to go over those things. And on a sad note, I just want to send prayers out. There was an accident in the Hatteras, a boat overturned. And so prayers to all those involved in that. It was unfortunately tragic. But our community is resilient, and we rally around those that need us, and we'll continue to keep them in our prayers. And I think that might be all I have.
Thank you.
I'll think of something else later.
Thank
Thank you.
Commissioner Ross.
I'm very sorry, Mary Ellen. I did read about that accident. That's very bad, very sad news. I'm going to start off with a blatantly partisan call on the town of Kitty Hawk. I'm looking at Mary Helen. I attended their meeting last night, and I spoke on behalf of the Dementia Friendly Coalition. These are some wonderful folks who do amazing work for both those afflicted by memory loss and the related challenges, as well as their caregivers. They are pursuing an opportunity to occupy the vacant old police station and are hoping for a public hearing in Kitty Hawk to be able to advance their proposal. I spoke these words last night to Mayor Charlotte Walker and her board, and I'm using this opportunity to say them again. Please do take this seriously. It is a wonderful effort from wonderful people, and I hope it will be a successful one. Number two, there will be a big, get ready for it, concert on the dunes at Jockey's Ridge on May the 15th. It's going to be a big time affair, a lot of fun. I urge everyone to keep that one on their calendar. The Tourism Board, we're having Earth Day at the Soundside Event Center on April 22nd. Also going to be a big time. From what we heard earlier from the Children and Youth Partnership, this Friday, wear blue. It's close to Friday. We're Tuesday, so please keep it in mind. These issues are very important, and I take them deadly seriously. So anything we can do to advance, advocate, and support that, I would support. And lastly, I know everyone has been waiting all year on the edge of your seats and chairs. It's about to begin. Yes, I'm talking about Masters Week. So keep your televisions tuned and watch some great golf. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And Commissioner Burris did say it. It is a tradition unlike any other.
Absolutely. Vice Chairman House.
Yeah, and Commissioner Ross, we will expect to be seeing you in your green Masters jacket in the next meeting.
Yes, I play in the honorary over 75 tournament. We only play 6 holes. We get too tired.
Most stuff I was going to go over has already been covered, so I got a couple things. First Flight Society will be having a birthday celebration for Wilbur Wright on April 16th at 6 p.m. at Jeanette's Pier. So please come around. It's a fundraising event for the First Flight Society. Be great to see you there. And being at Jeanette's Pier, while you're there, you can also see the renovations that are going on there with the new walkboards going down throughout the whole pier. Pier is a multi-million-dollar project, and it's been in the works now for quite a few years, and now they're starting to actually put it together. So that'd be great. And Matt, do we have the pet of the week?
Our pet of the week this week is Storm. This pretty girl came into our care after her family relocated and could no longer give her the time and attention she deserves. Now she is ready to find her forever home where she can truly thrive. Storm does well with submissive dogs her own size, but would do best in a home with no small animals or as the only dog. She adores attention, loves car rides, knows basic commands, and is house trained. To adopt Storm or foster one of our other animals, come visit us Monday through Friday at our shelter located in Manio. For more information, visit our website at obxspca.org or visit our OBXSPCA Facebook page.
So please go out to the OBX SPCA, check out Storm. Maybe you can give her her forever home. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Howe, Vice Chairman. That brings us to the end of our meeting. We have a motion. Bobby, you want to read that for closed session? And in between the closed session, our Thrive truck is outside, and our Health Department Director Sheila Davies would like for us to take a look at that. So if we can do that as soon as we break for a recess. Can we do that? Or do we have to go right into closed session immediately?
Closed session's going to take 5 minutes.
5 minutes? All right, well, that'll work then. Let's go into closed session, and then from there, we'll come back and we can go outside and check the Thrive truck out.
So I need a motion for a closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A3 to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the county in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege and to receive an update on the opioid litigation and to approve the minutes of the last closed session.
So moved.
There's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair, seconded by Commissioner Burris. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. I call the Dare County Board of Commissioners meeting back to order and turn it over to the county manager.
In the closed session, the board approved the minutes of the last closed session. We discussed another of the opioid settlements, and I need a motion that authorizes me to execute settlement agreements as these random entities come in this class action suit going into the future. So if somebody would make a motion giving me that authority to settle those cases, then I can move forward.
So moved. You
Second.
got you that
Okay, there's a
authority.
motion on the floor by, a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair as well as Commissioner Ross, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Bateman. Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
And then in the closed session, we had a public comment about a piece of art this morning. I gave you the law on what that means, and the consensus of the board is that is speech and to allow it to be posted with the rest of the art. So if she's here, I'll let the applicant know, and so that's resolved.
Okay, thank you very much, County Manager. I need a motion to adjourn until 9 a.m. on May the 4th.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion by Commissioner Balance, seconded by Vice Chairman. Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.